baseball and lots of sunshine. A great combination here in the Cactus League. We're at the Brewers home park in Phoenix for Cubs baseball. Coming up next. We greet you today from the Valley of the Sun. Fantastic scenery, great weather once again, and we're set for Cubs baseball on Comcast Sportsnet. The Cubs today and the Milwaukee Brewers from Maryvale Baseball Park in Phoenix. Hi again, everyone. Alongside Bob Brenly, I'm Len Casper. Let's see if the Cubs can put up 13 again today. 21 hits yesterday in their win over the Kansas City Royals. The big news today is Mark DeRosa will make his Cactus League debut.
Well, Mark DeRosa obviously is going to be a big part of this team this year. And not only that, but he's one of the most solid fundamental players in the entire game. So they're really looking forward to having D-Row back on the field.
And there's still plenty of time for him to get ready. I mean, we're not even to the middle of the month yet.
Yeah, we've talked about the last couple of days. For a veteran player like Mark DeRosa, who's been through many spring trainings in preparation for a regular season, missing a couple days at the beginning of camp is no big deal.
This is not the first appearance for Rich Hill, but it is his first start. Things get a little different here when you have more than 5 starters to go, but he's going to start the rest of the way.
Yeah, he's going to be a starter the rest of the year. And Rich Hill figures to have a huge year this year. He's kind of eased into the major leagues. You see he's matching up against Dave Bush today, 2 tough left-handers. But the thing about Rich Hill is you get the impression that the sky is the limit with this guy. He can be as good as he wants to be.
And for Rich Hill, he will pitch 4th in the Cubs rotation. He will not face Milwaukee to start the season. That's why he's getting the nod today, as opposed to Carlos Zambrano, who will pitch tomorrow. Cubs and Brewers, they should be battling all season long in the regular campaign, and we'll have Cubs and the Brewers from Maryvale Baseball Park coming up next.
You hear car, and what comes to mind? Okay, that's not car. And it's not 2 tons of metal, glass, and rubber. Car is the reason you got your license in the first place. The way you felt about your first car. And unlike other vehicles, car is all about you. And car is what makes a Pontiac, like the first ever Pontiac G8 GT. The most powerful car under 30 grand.
What would you pay?
What would you pay to have me want to play outside?
To work and play at the same time.
What would you pay?
To have your dad eat your dust.
To take control.
For better stories to tell on Monday morning.
What would you pay for the quality, reliability, and value of a Honda? Right now, you'll pay less with low financing and other great deals at the Good to Go sales event. Now at your Honda dealer.
Hawkeye Motor works so you can play right on.
My name is John Waddell, and I'm the head golf professional at Palmer Hills Golf Course. It is easy to use On Media for advertising because there is help out there for you. On Media helped us target our demographic better than what some of the other advertising routes would. I like the fact that people tell me when they see our commercial, and it helps us to track our advertising dollars, which in a lot of advertising is very hard to do.
If you're interested in a media where you can track your results, call me, Amy Thomas, at 797-2907.
Mark DeRosa is back, and he'll be in the lineup today. Suffered from the irregular heartbeat, had a procedure to correct that problem, and he'll make his Cactus League debut. Mid-70s for the game conditions. Lots of sunshine, and the Cubs just about set to face right-hander Dave Bush. Here's the lineup today. Ryan Theriot leads it off. Kosuke in right. Lee Ramirez, Josh Kroger out in left for Soriano, who has a day off. DeRosa, Henry Blanco, Sam Fuld filling in for Felix P.A. More on that in a second, and Rich Hill hits night.
Let's take a look at the Brewers defensively. Gabe Kapler out of retirement playing left field today. Tony Quinn Jr. out in center field. Corey Hart over in right. Abraham Nunez at third base. Escobar at short. Weeks at second. Fielder at first. Eric Munson doing the catching today for right-hander Dave Bush.
One strike the count. Ontario gets a little low. 1-1. Dave Bush is trying to compete for a spot in this Milwaukee rotation, and like the Cubs, they have a surplus. Lined to left, and it'll get down right in front of Gabe Kapler, so the Cubs offense picking up where it left off yesterday in surprise.
Dave Bush has had one of those springs. If you look at his numbers, he's given up a couple of home runs already in 5 innings pitched. The amazing thing is both home runs came on 0-2 pitches. He's been able to get ahead of opposing hitters, but just can't seem to put them away. This will be his 3rd appearance of the spring, his 2nd start.
Kosuke at 333 with a double, a home run, 3 knocked in. Leadoff man on base, and the pitch. 1 ball, no strikes. Yeah, they have upwards of 8 guys battling for a rotation spot. They do, however, have an injury. Right-hander Giovanni Gallardo had knee surgery right at the beginning of spring training. So it doesn't look like he's going to be ready to go on opening day.
And with their position players, much like the Cubs, they're very set. They're just talking about potential backup infielders, possibly somebody to fill in center field for Mike Cameron as he serves his suspension to start the season. So pretty much a set roster, a very quiet spring here for the Brewers.
The Cubs are 5-7. Milwaukee tied for the best league record in the Cactus League at 8-4. You see Kosuke has some protection on the right elbow. It was surgically repaired last year. Ontario runs. That is ball 4. 2 on for D. Lee.
Looked like Ontario would have stolen that base anyway. Got a great jump over there at first base. Ryan filling in that leadoff spot today. Alfonso Soriano taking a camp day to get some work in back in Mesa. At least that's what we used to call them, camp days. You're excused from the afternoon game, but you're expected to get some work in back at the home park.
I had a camp day today. Really, what movie did you see? The Brewers are in double play depth, and a slow curveball for a strike. Tim McClellan, the home plate umpire, always gets good reviews for his balls and strikes, but he can take his time, at least with the hand signals. The guys down on the field usually know right off the bat, but he takes his time to let everybody else know. But it's spring training, so we don't mind the slower pace. Two strikes on Lee. Bush with the next pitch. Ground ball to the right side. Ricky Weeks has one play. That's first base. Derek's not trying to move the runners up in this spot, but that's the result. So I guess if you're going to make it out, not the worst place to hit it.
Yeah, it's always tougher to turn that double play from the right side of the field. That second baseman has to turn back against his body and throw back behind him to the shortstop covering the bag. And with somebody with the speed of Derek Lee, he's going to beat that out 9 times out of 10. But you're right. He was trying to drive that ball into right field and played a couple of teammates.
An RBI spot for Aramis. Bothered by that sore right shoulder early in spring training. Came back over the weekend. Did not play Sunday. He hit almost 340 in this spot in 07.
And early in the ball game, the Brewers are willing to concede that run, playing back all the way around the infield. A ground ball anywhere will score a run, other than right back to the pitcher. I mean, these are the closest things to a gimme RBI there is. A hitter like Aramis Ramirez at the plate, the infield's playing back. If it's a ground ball, he'll get that runner in from third. If he hits a fly ball, he'll get that runner in from third. Hopefully he'll find a gap and drive them both home.
fisted foul off to the right. We mentioned Tim McClellan. We saw Hall of Famer George Brett in Surprise. They were connected in the pine tar incident back in the early 1980s.
And if teammates had not intervened, they may still be there arguing.
I would like to think they've made up some, what, 25 years later, but you never know. Another one-hit foul. Nice crowd, especially for a Monday. Berm is not packed. The interesting aspect of that berm is it's pretty steep. So all those fans are going to end up below the fence line by the 5th inning.
Yeah, they said in places it's as much as a 45-degree angle, and you start out sitting at the top of the hill and you end up against the fence.
That's going to score two. A fair ball for Ramirez. Terrio, Fukudome, and Ramirez will be safe. Barely got in and beat the throw by Corey Hart. RBIs 2 and 3 on the spring, and it's quickly 2-0.
Well, it's a fastball on the outer third of the plate. Ramirez was a little tardy on some pitches earlier in the sequence. This time gets the bat head on it, drives it right down into that right field corner. Nice piece of hitting by Aramis Ramirez. That's what he does. Hey, if you're a pitcher on this Cubs staff, you have to look at the last couple of days, the way the team has swung the bats, and just be licking your chops to take that ball every 5th day and get an opportunity to pitch in front of this offense. Really swinging the bats well.
They have now scored 74 runs in now just 13 games, not even 13 full games. Josh Kroger getting the start for Soriano in left. Felix PA was slated to play center. He had a big weekend, especially yesterday. But Felix had, and this sounds very uncomfortable.
Wait, just let me get off headset first. Okay, go ahead.
A twisted testicle. The official diagnosis is testicular torsion. And he was going to have an outpatient procedure next week on the off day. The Cubs have one off day during spring training, but he had some discomfort yesterday, so they decided to do it today. And it sounds like he's going to be out just 3 to 5 days. It is, again, an outpatient procedure, and it is planned for this afternoon. Josh Kroger off the glove of Ricky Weeks. That's going to send Ramirez around third, and he's going to score. 3-0.
Line drive off the bat of Josh Kroger. Been swinging a good bat this spring, just off the glove of Ricky Weeks out into shallow right center field. Ramirez scores easily. Hey, Josh Kroger, if you're going to be in this lineup, you got to carry your weight, and he does right there.
And now the first spring plate appearance for second baseman Mark DeRosa. We hope to chat with Mark later on once he is out of the ball game. Not quite sure how many at bats he'll get. Is this the type of day, Bob, where you kind of rely on the player to tell you? I mean, you don't want to give him 6 at bats, but 3 or 4, depending on how he feels.
I'm sure it's all on Mark DeRosa today. I'm sure Lou Piniella has an idea in mind, as does Mark O'Neill, the trainer, how much they'd like to see him do, but you pretty much leave it up to a veteran player like Mark DeRosa. I would guess a couple, 3 at bats, that would probably be enough for his first day back.
The irregular heartbeat was something that had been an issue since he was in his teens. Said it was a scary situation, but he seems very relieved to have that procedure done. And now he can move on. Way out in front, pulls it foul. And the diving catch.
What a play. Running up that 45-degree bank. That's the catch of the day so far.
That's a Gold Glove play.
All right.
Runners were going, and a roller to short. Escobar will fire to fielder. The runner was going. Kroger from first. And he's now at second with 2 outs. That was outstanding, young man.
I know some ballparks, they used to give honorary contracts to fans who made great catches like the one we just saw down the left field line. Not only you get to take the ball home with you, you get to take an honorary contract.
Former Milwaukee Brewer Henry Blanco. Fastball strike. Blanco was with the Brewers in 2000 and again in 2001. These two teams will meet up to start the regular season at Wrigley Field March 31st. Our first regular season telecast here on Comcast Sportsnet will be Game 2 on April 2nd. It'll be a 1:21 pitch on a Wednesday afternoon. Ted Lilly will start for the Cubs. Thinking it'll probably be Jeff Suppan for the Brewers.
I'll tell you one thing, partner, this is the most aromatic ballpark you work at in spring training. We can smell every concession stand underneath the press box, and it makes me hungry.
It's breezy, and you're right. Lined and caught by Weeks for the 3rd out. So Rich Hill will start with the advantage. The Cubs' number 4 starter will take the baseball when we come back.
People think life in California is one big vacation, but it's really a lot of work.
We have board meetings.
Lots of board meetings.
We're always playing catch up.
We're really just a bunch of pencil pushers.
We burn the midnight oil.
Hey, it's a dirty job.
Someone's got to do it.
So if California seems like your kind of work,
when can you start?
Find yourself in California. Fly Southwest Airlines Internet specials from Chicago Midway to select cities in California for just $99.
You are now free to move about the country.
The road to happiness. There's a lot of temptation out there.
In my hand is a little piece of heaven, and it's practical.
Nice. God, $9 grand. This won't make you happy. It'll end up buried in your closet. Put your money in an orange savings account. It won't go out of fashion. Then you'll feel better about yourself. $9 grand.
Sorry.
High interest, no fees, no minimums. Next thing you know, there's more money than when you started. And you're right back on the road to happiness.
It's NCAA March Madness, when passion, performance, and style make the difference. When the best of the best put it all out on the floor for the biggest event of the season, the Buick Pontiac GMC March Madness sales event. Well-qualified buyers can get 0% financing for 60 months on any 2008 GMC Sierra 1500. That's over $6,400 in average finance savings. For more information, visit gmcdrive.com.
Well, Milwaukee led the major leagues with a club record 231 home runs last season. Weeks leads it off. Abraham Nunez at third. Kapler, fielder, Hart. Escobar at short. Tony Gwynn Jr. at center. Eric Munson's the catcher. Dave Bush, the pitcher.
Take a look at the Cubs defensively. Josh Kroger with a base hit in the game already. Be playing left field. Sam Fuld out in center. Bucadome in right field. Ramirez, Terrio, DeRosa, Lee across the infield. Henry Blanco doing the catching today for left-hander Rich Hill. See his numbers from last season. Saw Rich Hill down in the dugout before the ball game. And even though it's a spring training game, he had his game face on. He's ready to go today. These pitchers take their appearances very seriously down here in spring training.
Coming off a nice 2007 season. Should have won more than he did. He did not get a lot of run support. Weeks shows bunt and takes a strike. When you look at this Milwaukee offense, and they don't have a lot of their regulars in there today. They do have Weeks, Fielder, Corey Hart. But most of their lineup, high slugging percentage, fly ball hitters. They also have added kind of the opposite type of hitter. Former Cub, Jason Kendall, who will catch. And the idea that Ned Yost has come up with is to hit Kendall ninth behind the pitcher. The idea of 2 leadoff hitters. And also the fact that Kendall hits into a lot of double plays. He figures with the pitcher in front of him, that won't happen as much. Popped up on the bunt, and Hill makes the catch. We saw the Brewers doing a lot of fielding drills for a good hour before the ball game today. And Rich Hill looks like he's in mid-season form.
I think a lot of fans probably don't realize when they come down here to Arizona or go to Florida to the Grapefruit League games and go to the ball game at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. They think that the players maybe got there, shortly before that. But most of the guys are here very early in the morning, getting some extra work in the cages and team drills before batting practice. And then you go into your regular routine of batting practice and infield practice and play a ball game. But a lot of work has been done already today by both of these ball clubs.
Nunez, a switch hitter, and a good curve for a strike. 0-2. What's your thought on the idea of hitting Kendall ninth? It's not really about the pitcher. It's more about the type of hitter Jason Kendall is. I think it's a very intriguing idea.
And I think also it depends on the guys that you have in that 1-2-3 spot. The reason you have those guys hitting 1-2-3 is because those are the guys you want to get the most at bats over the course of a season. And when you look at the possibility of Ricky Weeks and Braun and Fielder as your 1-2-3 hitters, at least to start the season, I think it's a real good idea to put a hitter in that 9 spot and try to maximize the damage from your guys in the 2-3 spots in the lineup.
A called third strike, 2 down. This is about as excited as Tim McClellan will get, at least in spring training.
And he does make a verbal call. As you said, the catcher and the batter know right away what the pitch has been called. But for the rest of us here, it takes a little while to figure out what the pitch has been called.
Gabe Kapler, not to be confused with Mr. Cotter. Gabe Kaplan, former Tiger, Ranger, Rocky, and Red Sox. And as you said, he was retired. He spent last year managing in the Boston minor league system at Single A Greenville. We thought he had a little left in the tank, so he's back. They could go with a platoon at center with Cameron missing the first 25 games. First 2 appearances for Rich Hill were in relief. And a piggyback outings after the starter. 2 innings against San Francisco on February 29th. 3 hits, 1 run. And then at Tucson against Arizona, that'll get down Gabe Kapler with a 2-out single. His last outing, 3 innings, no hits, 1 run. And he walked 3 in that outing. Big hand for Prince Fielder. The vegetarian Prince Fielder.
I was just going to ask you, does he look hungry to you? If I'm the Brewers organization, I don't know if I want Prince Fielder to change anything from what he did last season. He became a vegetarian in the offseason, was spurred to do so for a number of reasons, but I'd give him whatever he wants to eat.
Sam Fuld was playing pretty deep. Here comes a throw. He's got a shot at Kapler. Nice play by Aramis. Could not, however, make the tag. A 1-hop throw by Fuld, and Kapler just got in. Somewhat of a risky maneuver with 2 outs, but he was able to get in there.
Very risky maneuver. Kapler rolls the dice and works out for him this time. Fuld gets there on a hop, unloads the throw quickly. Unfortunately, the throw cut a little bit. Went to the left field side of the bag at third by the time Ramirez could make that nice pick of that throw in the dirt. Kapler's on the bag. Boy, did a nice job of keeping that ball out of that third base dugout. From the angle where that throw came from center field, if it gets by Rich Hill, who was backing up the play, it goes right into the dugout and a run scores.
1 strike on Corey Hart. Hill won 11 in 07, 32 starts. Led the team with 183 strikeouts. That one gets away from Henry Blanco. Kapler trying to score. Now he's going to turn around and head right back to third with Fielder going to second.
Looked like a pass ball. Looked like it just got away from Henry right there. Normally very sure-handed. He's expecting something down in the strike zone. Rich Hill kind of overthrew that curveball a little bit. Didn't take the break and kind of fooled Henry behind the plate. Kapler with a brief step back toward third. And he thought about coming home, and then Henry pounced on the ball quickly, and Kapler retreated to third.
Check down at first base, no swing.
It's been a struggle this spring for Corey Hart, hitting only 192 coming into play today. Granted, it is spring training, and Corey Hart will be their starting right fielder regardless of the numbers he puts up here in Arizona. But the alarming thing is 11 strikeouts and only 26 at bats this spring.
Popped up. Kosuke in right captures the third out. And the Cubs lead after one, 3-0.
When I was a kid, I used to hit rocks over this creek in my backyard. I guess you could say I'm still hitting rocks. But now, it's out of other people's yards.
There are many roads to the show. What'll yours be? MLB 08 The Show. Nothing gets you closer. Rated E for everyone. Only on PlayStation.
You'll be amazed where a pen can take you during the Lincoln Signature Event. Now, drive select 08 Lincoln vehicles with zero cash due at signing, including the Lincoln MKZ with exclusive sync technology standard. Get zero first month's payment, zero down, and zero cash due at signing on Lincoln MKZ for $369 a month. From the fastest growing full line of luxury vehicles, Lincoln.
Experience a Cubs game at historic Wrigley Field. Individual tickets are available for upcoming games. Get your tickets now by calling 1-800-THE-CUBS, visiting the Wrigley Field box office, or by logging on to Cubs.com. See you at beautiful Wrigley Field.
Tomorrow, Jonathan James and the Blackhawks are out for a huge win as they take on the top-ranked Red Wings in Detroit, followed by Crown Royal Blackhawks post-game live. Blackhawks Red Wings tomorrow at 6:30 on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend.
The Cubs will bat in the second, leading 3-0. Larry Rothschild, the Cubs pitching coach, is with us from the dugout as Sam Fuld leads it off. Year number 7, Larry, with the Chicago Cubs.
Yeah,
Does it feel
is.
like 7 years?
No, it doesn't. It feels like 20. No, it's good to be here. I love being in Chicago, so it's great.
Well, you have a surplus of starting pitchers here in spring training, and it's always a luxury to have. You can never have enough, right?
Yeah, that's a little misleading. A surplus, hopefully at the end, we've got what we consider a surplus with guys throwing the ball well, and then we can make some pretty good decisions for this team.
Well, they're taking a look at Rich Hill on the mound today. Obviously these guys want to get their arm strength up there and build their pitch count and do the things that pitchers need to do in spring training. But with Rich, is there anything perhaps peripheral? Defensively, we talked about his pickoff move last year. What are you working on with Rich Hill this spring?
Well, we've quickened him up to the plate, both with guys on first and second. And the Brewers are one of the teams that ran a lot on him, and I think started the avalanche of guys trying to run on him and really more bothering him than the effect of getting the extra base. And so, we've tried to eliminate that by quickening him up to the plate. And then I think right now it's really just getting his feet on the ground and getting comfortable on the mound again, and he'll start throwing the ball the way he can.
And you've been working with him on that bunt for a base hit too, right?
Yeah, actually, truthfully, Ivan has put in an incredible amount of hours at 7 o'clock in the morning with all the starting pitchers bunting, hitting, every phase of the game. And so far we've gotten some good sacrifice bunts down, and I think that will continue because they've put in a lot of hours.
Are you happy with the 3 guys in that closer mix?
Yeah, I think, you know, the way Carey's throwing the ball is really good to see. And Carlos is not really on his game. He's pitched pretty well, but not quite the dominant stuff that we've seen, which will come around. You know, his arm slot to me is a little low right now, and we've got to get it back up, and he's concentrating on that. And then Bobby Howery, I think, is probably a little ahead of where he's been the last couple of years, but not quite the Bobby Howery we know.
Hill hanging in there, still 2 strikes.
You know, Larry, to ask you about one of your other pitchers, we get a lot of calls and emails about Jeff Samardzija. Could you kind of tell us how his progress has been this spring?
Well, he's doing well. He, you know, he gave up his first runs in spring training for the major league team last time out. He didn't give up any last year. In the first time out, he threw 18 pitches in 2 innings and threw well and got the ground balls and got a pop up on a changeup. But you know, he's going to have to develop the second and third pitches, the slider and the changeup, and he's got the hard sinker, and I think delivery-wise he's gotten better, and he's actually throwing some real good sliders this spring. It's just a little inconsistent.
I have to ask you about Dempster and Lieber and Marquis and Marshall. Your thoughts on those guys?
Well, right now they're throwing the ball well. I thought I didn't see Sean the other day, but from what I heard, he was throwing the ball really well and got some real quick outs. He's actually, I think, way ahead of where we saw him almost all last year right now as far as delivery, hitting spots, making pitches, breaking ball, and being comfortable on the mound. So he's in a good spot. Marquis threw to some hitters this morning. He's going to pitch on his 7th day, this time to line him up for starts the rest of spring. And Demp yesterday was real good. I thought that long inning had a little bit of an effect on him. It's the first time he's gone through that as a starter in a long time. And, you know, he wasn't, as you saw when he got back out there, he wasn't nearly as sharp. But after the 3rd inning, went back out for the 4th and was pretty sharp again.
And what I really wanted to ask you about, because if I ask you about these guys before the others, you know, I wouldn't be doing my job. But how about Lilly and Zambrano? I mean, we just take these guys for granted. They're your top 2 guys, but how have they looked to you early on?
Well, I think Carlos right now is as good as I've seen him in spring training in a long time.
Really?
Arm position, delivery-wise, really solid, keeping the ball down, and arm strength is good and has gone about his business. And, you know, if you don't look for him, you don't see him out there. He's just kind of doing his thing and getting his work in, and he's a big guy to miss, but it's not like other springs where he's a little more demonstrative. So hopefully that carries over in the season. But delivery-wise, right now, I'm very happy with where he is.
That's great. And Ted Lilly?
Teddy's doing well. He's throwing a lot of changeups in his 2 outings this spring, and it's something that he's purposefully worked on. And last outing, it was really good. They were swinging at some high changeups, which tells you he's got good arm speed on it, and he's starting to get a pretty good feel for it. And that pitch will give him a nice weapon to utilize the outer half of the plate on right-hand hitters and set up the way he really likes to pitch. So hopefully he carries that throughout and can use that as a weapon during the year.
Last thing quickly, Larry, has Lou mellowed?
Next question. Since you asked about Michael Wirtz, he's actually way ahead of where he was last year.
How's Michael doing? Yeah. All right, fair enough. Thanks so much for the time, Larry.
Okay,
we appreciate
Bob.
it very
Glenn,
much.
thank you very much.
You got it.
Okay.
That's Larry Rothschild.
Good answer.
Yeah. 3-2. Make it 3-3 as Bush has retired 5 straight since the Kroger RBI hit. 3-0 Cubs.
The thing about a College Illinois prepaid tuition plan is you can use your plan in any state at just about any college. We just called it College Illinois because all those other states wouldn't fit in the box. Visit collegeillinois.com.
All Franke USA kitchen sinks are on sale during the Kitchen and Bath Sale at Menards. This double bowl stainless steel model has a mirror deck with high gloss bowls, only $99. This granite model can be top or undermounted, available in 3 attractive colors, $199. Save energy and money with energy efficient fluorescent lighting from American Fluorescent. Choose from this shop light or a fluorescent wraparound light, $14.99 each.
Save big money at Menards. you're thinking of a new SUV, think about Toyota. With 6 different SUV models, whatever your needs are, wherever you'll take it, Toyota has something for you. Like the all-road capable Toyota RAV4, which handles country roads, city roads, and pretty much any road you can find. Toyota, a great way to keep moving forward.
College Illinois prepaid tuition plans, available in regular, and now new mini size too. The buy a year plan from College Illinois, the smart, secure, 1 year at a time way to pay for college. Find out more at collegeillinois.com.
Coming up tonight at 6:30 on Sports Night, presented by Dex. The Bulls are back in practice. And Cubs and Sox Cactus League highlights. Join Mark Shanowski and Pat Boyle for Sports Night, presented by Dex. Tonight at 6:30, only on Comcast Sportsnet, fans' best friend. Alcides Escobar, he is playing shortstop. J.J. Hardy will be their opening day starting shortstop. He bunts it foul. It looks like the Brewers are trying to get Rich Hill to move off that mound. We've seen him be pretty deliberate early on in his career, but he made a nice running catch on a Ricky Weeks bunt pop-up in the first. High chopper, Ramirez flags it down. The throw to first. Got it.
Boy, Escobar motoring down that first baseline didn't give Aramis Ramirez a lot of time to gather himself and make that throw across the infield, but after going far to his left, reaching high up in the air, he's able to corral it, and the strong throw just does get him over there at first base. Boy, Derek Lee came off that bag as if perhaps he got stepped on the back of the right heel right there.
It appears as though he's okay. Tony Gwynn playing center. Ball one outside. Well, I asked Larry that question because he was a bullpen coach for Lou Piniella with the Cincinnati Reds in 1990. So he's known Lou for a long, long time. I think we kind of got the answer right if you read between the lines. Has he mellowed? And then he answered a question about Michael Wirtz that was not asked.
Well, I was glad to hear Larry say that the pitchers have been coming out early. I just mentioned it the last half inning, how hard these guys work before the ball game every day. They really put in a full day before the game even starts, and Larry backed that up. Ivan DeJesus has been working with the pitchers on their bunting for base hits and their sack bunts. So, see, I wasn't lying.
No, you were telling the truth. You never lie. Come on. Outside corner for a strike. I also like what he said about Carlos Zambrano. I just get a feeling that this is going to be the year for him. He has gotten out of the prediction business. He's become somewhat of a boring interview for the writers, and that's actually a compliment.
Well, like Larry said, you have to look for him to find him. Normally, Carlos, you know, the activity kind of follows him wherever he goes. That's where all the noise is in the room. That's where the writers go because they know he's usually a very good quote. As Gwynn will take ball 4 and head on down to first base. But Carlos very motivated this year to concentrate on the business at hand, get ready for the long season, and hopefully back up those predictions he made last year without making them this year.
Left-handed hitting catcher Eric Munson. 3 hits and 8 tries. A 1-out walk to Gwynn. And Hill will check on him. Lou's pretty relaxed. Sitting in the dugout at the moment, not out with the rest of the coaching staff. A slicing drive to left field, sending Josh Kroger over near the line. He dropped it, but it didn't hurt him. First and third as Gwynn ends up all the way to third base.
In a roundabout way, it might be a good thing that Josh Kroger did bobble that ball. Looked like he was going to try to do a spin move and fire to third base and attempt to get the lead runner. Once he bobbled the ball, he wisely came up throwing directly to second base, which keeps the double play in order. You try to throw that guy out at third base. If you don't get him, you're going to have 2 guys in scoring position for the following hitter.
Teams have the option in National League parks to use the DH, and the Brewers had exercised that option over the first week plus. But I think from here on out, Ned Yost is going to let his pitchers hit, get them ready for opening day.
Well, they need to get used to that part of the game as well. Even though most pitchers are not good hitters, there will be the occasion like this where your pitcher can go up there and make something happen with the bat and then run the bases, and they need to get used to that as well.
It's now 3-1 as Dave Bush knocks in Gwynn.
Pitch up and out over the plate, and even a pitcher can hit that ball. Rich Hill was trying to bury that pitch inside on his opposite number, but left it out over the plate and up, and Dave Bush just served it out into right field.
Runners at first and second. Ricky Weeks with his second at bat. And the Cubs would like to turn 2 to get out of the inning. 3 straight have reached, a walk and 2 singles. Going to be another hit, and that's going to go all the way to the wall. Munson scores, and the pitcher Bush is held at third base. A run-scoring double for Ricky Weeks. It's 3-2. Not a lot of really hard hit balls, but the Brewers have placed them well.
Finding grass out there in the outfield. Another pitch belt high inside part of the plate. Weeks with a nice quick swing. Finds that area between Josh Kroger and the left field foul line. Rolls it all the way to the wall.
A bouncer up the middle. Terrio with good range. He'll throw to first, and the Brewers have tied it. Give Nunez an RBI. 3-3.
A lot of early pitch hacking against Rich Hill so far in this ball game.
Ticket sales are at a record pace, but plenty of tickets are still available for the 2008 season. To purchase tickets, visit Cubs.com. Call 1-800-THE-CUBS or visit the Wrigley Field box office. You have Weeks at third, 3 in. And ball 1 low on Kapler. Dale Swaim, the third base coach, he was on the bench last season with Ned Yost. This year it's Ted Simmons, and the interesting nugget there is that Ned Yost used to be the backup catcher to Ted Simmons in Milwaukee. So now the roles are reversed just a little bit. That is a fair ball, and that ball was hit hard by Kapler to give the Brewers the lead.
Well, the good news is Rich Hill's throwing strikes. The bad news is they're very hittable strikes up in the strike zone over the heart of the plate. Kapler with his second base hit of the ball game. Another pitch up around the belt. Hooks it down into that left field corner. Hey, you talk about Ted Simmons. The guy played 21 years in the major leagues. Get one more look at Kapler's double down the left field line. I was a big fan of his when I was growing up. Switch hitting catcher, tough as nails, very intelligent ball player.
Tough out here, even for a lefty. Prince Fielder. This is the first time Ted Simmons has been a coach. He has worked in a front office capacity for several organizations: the Cardinals, the Pirates, the Indians, the Padres. An 8-time All-Star, 21 years in the major leagues. Yost on the left and Simmons on the right.
Being two former catchers, that's probably as relaxed as they've ever been in spring training. Usually spring training for a catcher, out of all the positions, it's the toughest on the catchers because the drills you have to do involve physical pain. You know, sit down in the bullpen and crank up a pitching machine to about 90 miles an hour and bounce balls in the dirt out in front of home plate, and the catchers have to work on their blocking form. You know, most catchers I know never really looked forward to spring training. You went, it was a necessary evil to prepare for the regular season, but you knew that after 6 weeks in Arizona or Florida, you were going to have bruises up and down your forearms and on the insides of your thighs, and the season hadn't even started yet.
Where's the second baseman? Way out there in right. Check swing, and fielder went too far, and that's a strikeout to end the inning, but a big one for the Brewers. 4 runs on 4 hits and a walk, and they now have the lead after 2.
Now is the time. Here is the place. And this is the truck. Chevy Silverado Half-Ton. The full-size pickup available with best-in-class 4x4 fuel economy. Well-qualified buyers, get yours with 0% APR financing for 60 months. Shop Chevy now. Log on now to ChevyDriveChicago.com. Check us out today.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Chicago Cubs and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Chicago.
Looking for a great new job? Airland Transport is currently hiring drivers. If you have a Class A license, this is an outstanding opportunity to work for a locally owned company that offers competitive wages and benefits, paid holidays, and more. Airland Transport is looking for good people like you to continue providing quality transportation service. Do you want to be home daily? Tired of where you're currently working? Give Airland a call today at 800-224-2899 or visit us in East Moline.
All Schlag and Dexter lock sets are on sale at Menards. Choose from entry deadbolt combo packs, knobs, levers, and handle sets in a variety of styles and finishes. Over 200 different lock sets are on sale. This Byron Passage lock set with antique brass finish is only $7.88. This Schlag Flare Passage lever in a satin nickel finish is only $21.88. A Flare Privacy lever is just $24.88. Plus, there are 0 payments and no interest till 2009 when you use your big card.
Save big money at Menards.
The Cubs find themselves trailing 4-3 as Kosuke leads off the 3rd inning against Dave Bush. We have Cubs assistant general manager Randy Bush in the booth with us. No relation to Dave, right?
No relation.
No relation.
No relation.
Good timing, Randy, with Kosuke at the plate. We talked with Jim Hendry the other day, and he talked about how you had watched Kosuke for years, and several members of the Cubs organization had seen him. Tell us about the first time you saw him and how he's developed since then.
Well, Gary Hughes saw him originally at the Olympics in Greece a few years ago, and we've scouted him since then in Japan. Gary and I both went over there the year before last. Paul Weaver saw him last year, Steve Wilson. We had a lot of reports in on him, and we just really thought he was a great fit for what we needed going into this year. High on-base percentage guy, patient hitter, and just a tremendous defender. And he's already started to show us a lot of the skills defensively that I think our fans are going to love out there in right field. He's one of those guys, I think, that can change the game defensively in right field, kind of like Jeff Francoeur does in Atlanta, where it just changes the whole way that the other ball club operates. And we're real excited about that. And of course, we love having his bat in the middle of the lineup wherever Lou puts him.
It's like a foul tip into the
right on cue. He punches out after
that's
I
okay.
say love it.
Get him out of the way now.
Get him out of the way now. Did you drop a Steve Finley kind of maybe?
Yeah, I think that I think that's kind of the comparison. A guy when Steve Finley was in his prime, a guy who combined the ability to steal a base also with some good power and can hit the ball out of the ballpark, and just an exciting type player, a good defender. I think that's a good comparison.
You know, Randy, we've heard for a lot of years that right field at Wrigley Field is one of the toughest right fields in all of baseball. And you mentioned Kosuke's ability to play that position. Do you think there'll be any adjustment problems going up north into the cold weather and the winds and the brick and the ivy and all that good stuff?
Yeah, I think there will be. I'm sure it's going to take some getting used to for him. But he's a guy that that all of our scouts felt very confident that his makeup was such that he likes being on the big stage. He's used to playing internationally. And we just feel like he's going to make the adjustment, whatever it takes. He wants to be out there, and he'll make that adjustment quickly. But no doubt there's going to be a period where he's going to have to get comfortable out there at Wrigley, but I don't think it'll take very long.
Just general thoughts on the ball club from your perspective.
Well, we're just thrilled with the way the spring's going. I couldn't be happier. Two things that have really stood out. We've had great health. Obviously, DeRosa back in the lineup today is a great sign. We're thrilled with that. And the way we've pitched has just been tremendous. Rich just had a tough inning there. We were kind of due for one of those. But our starting pitching has been tremendous. We're 7 deep there. As you know, Bob, you can't go get it once the season starts. You better have enough of it. We feel great about that. We've got some great competition going on for the last few spots in the bullpen. And all of that does is put you in a great position to you may be able to make a move at the end of spring. If nothing else, you're going to be deep going into the season, and that's one position you really feel like you have to have enough arms in.
Now, Felix's injury sounds painful. Testicular torsion, I guess is what it's called, but he's just going to have an outpatient procedure, and hopefully he'll miss less than a week, correct?
Yeah, we think he's going to have that procedure today. We were still trying to get that scheduled, but it's something that we've been assured less than a week he's back at full speed and back out there in the field. We just thought we'd go ahead. It was starting to cause him some discomfort. We thought we'd go ahead and get that done now and get him back to 100%.
Swing and the miss. That will end the inning. And Randy Bush, always a pleasure to have you drop by. Looking forward to a great 2008.
Thanks, guys. Always good visiting with you.
You hear car, and what comes to mind? Okay, that's not car. And it's not 2 tons of metal, glass, and rubber. Car is the reason you got your license in the first place. The way you felt about your first car. And unlike other vehicles, car is all about you. And car is what makes a Pontiac, like the first ever Pontiac G8 GT, the most powerful car under 30 grand.
The Chicago Cubs strongly encourage the use of public transportation. The CTA offers a variety of options, including the Red Line, which stops right at Wrigley Field at the Edison station. If you must drive, try the remote parking operation at DeVry University, located near the Edison and Rockwell intersection. The remote lot offers parking and an express bus for just $6. For more details, call the CTA hotline at 773-836-7000 or visit Cubs.com.
Have you ever led an expedition? Have you ever been honored by the Louvre? Have you ever protected nobility? Have you ever seen the curvature of the earth? Range Rover, designed for the extraordinary.
You never know who's going to drop by Chicago Tribune Live. John McDonough.
I'm anxious to help Dale get all the resources that he needs to make this team a Stanley Cup champion.
Chicago Tribune Live, presented by your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers. Tonight at 5:30 on Comcast Sportsnet.
Hey fans, the 3rd annual Race to Wrigley 5K on Sunday, April 13th starts at Clark and Addison, continues through the Wrigleyville neighborhood, and finishes with a run down the Wrigley Field concourse under the famous marquee. Each participant receives a performance moisture management race shirt. Proceeds to benefit Chicago Cubs charities. To register, visit Cubs.com. I'll tell you, that promo is right on time because we are blessed to have one of the great distance runners in the history of the sport with us, Len.
Paul Sullivan, who covers the Cubs beat for the Chicago Tribune. 4-3 Milwaukee. Corey Hart against Rich Hill in the last of the 3rd. Hi, Sully. How are you?
I'm not allowed to talk about the sausage race if that's what you're referring to. So don't even bring that up.
What's going on? What's the word of the day here?
Well, you heard about Felix.
We did.
How do you describe that one?
We
delicately.
I called it what Mark O'Neill called it: testicular torsion, and sounds like 3 to 5 days.
Yeah, it's a lot less than you would think just hearing the sound of the injury.
Yeah, he had the Michael Barrett injury a couple of years ago. Kroger got a bad jump on it, and that cost him as Corey Hart picks up a single right in front of him. Yeah, there have been a lot of strange maladies around the Chicago Cubs over the years. I'm sure every team could come up with some, but you hear about an injury like that I've never heard of.
Yeah, even Lewis said, I've never heard of that one. It can only happen to a Cub. But
let's hope they correct it and we
yes,
never have to hear it again.
Yes.
Yeah,
please.
Because he was having a pretty good spring, and he is the leader in that center field race. So hopefully he'll be back strong.
Yeah, Bob was commenting yesterday. It might have been the best overall performance we've seen from Felix. I mean, he just had a great day at the plate.
Yeah, he seems to be going to left field a little more like they like him, taking a few more pitches. He's still got to work on that bunting just a little bit.
Escobar lines to left again, right in front of Kroger. I read something interesting you had recently regarding Kosuke Fukudome. I guess you spoke with Hideki Kuriyama, a Japanese broadcaster.
Yes.
Early in the spring, it sounded like he's seeing more movement on the fastball than he's used to seeing in Japan. Can you expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, I don't watch Japanese league play, so I'm not really familiar with it. But he said it's going to just take him a little time to adapt to the movement on the fastballs here. There's mostly straight fastball curves there in Japan, I guess. And you can see he's a very patient hitter. But that last swing, oh, that was a little out there. But it's going to take some time for him to adapt. I mean, it took a lot of the Cubs times to adapt. Derek Lee, when he came to Wrigley Field, I think the day baseball thing takes a little while. But just from what I've seen, boy, he's got a great arm, great fundamentals, and I think Cub fans are going to really like him.
2 on, so Rich Hill in some trouble again here in the 3rd inning. This answer probably changes every month or so covering the Cubs beat, but right now, what's the biggest question people are asking you with emails and calls and things? What do fans ask you the most about?
Well, lately it's naming rights, but about the team, mostly it's the closer. Who's going to be the closer? Who do you think should be the closer? And God, my mind has changed on this so many times, but I took Woody at the beginning of camp, and I think I'm going to stick with him, though I think Marmol is pitching great, too.
1-2 the count. Here's the next pitch. A squib shot, barehanded by Ramirez, and he gets the out. Nicely done. Aramis has made 2 excellent defensive plays early on.
You got to think Aramis at some point is going to win a Gold Glove. I know that's something he really, really wants. And now that Roland's out of the league, maybe he'll have a better shot.
He's underrated.
Seems like he makes a lot of great plays. He doesn't have terrific range, probably, and he does mess up one once in a while. But really, I think that's one of the assets of his game that is pretty underrated.
Eric Munson with runners at 2nd and 3rd. Ramirez plays in. Everybody else will give up a run to get that 2nd out.
Sully, I got to ask you, are you content with the Cubs heading into the season with Giovanni Soto as their starting catcher? That's a huge leap of faith to put it all on the youngster, just pretty much based on one great AAA year and a strong finish at the major league level. Do you think Giovanni will be able to handle that pressure?
I think he will, just from knowing him a little bit. But yeah, I mean, they're working with him to stop pulling the ball so much. I think handling the pitchers, I'm okay with that. Whether he can hit that well in the majors as he did in the minors, I mean, that's going to be the key. I like his arm. I think, after watching Kendall and Bowen and Barrett and all that gang last year that couldn't throw anyone out, it's good to see someone back there with a strong arm and some accuracy.
Hill is a strikeout pitcher. He would like one right here. Yeah, he just got one. He did. As Munson went too far, 2 down.
What do you guys think? It seems like everyone's picking the Cubs to win the division. I don't know too many that have picked Milwaukee.
I think the Cubs are the best team on paper, but their biggest competition on paper, and it all has to play out, is the team the Cubs are playing today.
Boy, they're so right-handed, too. It goes into the Cubs' strength, those right-handers in the bullpen. So,
Bob, are there any other of the 4 other teams that would stand out? Those are all teams that train in Florida.
Well, I think the Cardinals are in a serious period of transition right now. I'm not sure quite they know what direction they want to go in. Houston had such a wholesale change with their roster. I'm not sure what that team's going to look like, but And the Reds, I think, if you believe what you read, and we all know Dusty Baker, but it sounds like they're going to play a lot of young players this year and kind of point toward the future. So it really comes down to the two teams on the field right here, both of whom improved themselves in the offseason. So I think it's going to be a two-team race once again.
You really see Dusty playing young players?
If that's all you got, you have no choice. But I know he's brought some of his old favorites back. Corey Patterson and Scott Hairston and some of the other guys he had in Chicago are resurfacing there in Cincinnati. So we'll see what happens.
Like Chris Spire and Dick Paul.
Chris will be his bench coach, I believe, this year.
Yeah, and I think Lopez, is he?
Juan Lopez,
yes. Juan Lopez, a bullpen coach.
Quite a few Chicago guys.
Has Lou mellowed at all in year 2?
Well,
from your perspective?
I say no, but he says yes, so I'll defer to him.
Derek will not have a play to make. You talk to Lou as much as anybody, and you see the different side. I mean, most of the fans, the highlights they see are when the Cubs lose and he's a little frustrated, but he's pretty relaxed and enjoys laughing and having a good time, and he likes when the tape recorder's turned off.
Yes, he does, as we found out today when we were talking about Felix. Quite a few tasteless jokes, but the thing that I still can't get over, and I talked to John McLaren, the Seattle manager who was his coach for years, and that he takes exhibition losses. He seems to take them so hard sometimes, but he says, no, I just get upset with the sloppy play. It's not the loss itself. And I don't know how you did that, Bob, when you were managing. Did you get upset at all at exhibition losses?
Exactly like Lou. If you lose a ball game, the other team pitched better and hit better, you take your loss, you go home, you come back and get them the next day. But after you've been working all morning on some defensive fundamental and then go out and make mistakes on it during the game, that tends to get to you a little bit.
Well, Rich Hill just walked the pitcher to load him up, and Lou is heading out to the mound. We'll see if he takes the ball and goes to Tim Leahy. And that'll be it for Rich Hill. Sully, thanks for the time. As always, enjoy reading your stuff.
Oh, thanks.
It's NCAA March Madness, when passion, performance, and style make the difference. When the best of the best put it all out on the floor for the biggest event of the season, the Buick Pontiac GMC March Madness sales event. Well-qualified buyers can get 0% financing for 60 months on any 2008 GMC Sierra 1500. That's over $6,400 in average finance savings. For more information, visit gmcdrive.com.
The road to happiness. There's a lot of temptation out there.
In my hand is a little piece of heaven, and it's practical.
Nice. God, $9 grand. This won't make you happy. It'll end up buried in your closet. Put your money in an orange savings account. It won't go out of fashion, then you'll feel better about yourself. $9 grand.
Sorry.
High interest, no fees, no minimums. Next thing you know, there's more money than when you started. And you're right back on the road to happiness.
Well, you sure do have a lot of phones.
I know. We do. We have all the latest models.
Yeah, all of them. You know what I feel like? I feel like I wish fate would point me in the right direction.
Wow, it is.
I just need a sign.
Smartphones, music phones, camera phones, and more. All the coolest models are here. It's why U.S. Cellular is wireless where you matter most.
Well, Rich Hill will be the Cubs' 4th starter. This was a forgettable performance today. Just was not particularly sharp.
Especially when pitching out of the stretch. Some of his best deliveries that we saw in the game were when he was out of the windup, but every time the Brewers got a runner on base, it seemed like he really bumped up against it. As you said earlier, not a lot of hard hit balls, but a lot of consistent contact, and they found some holes.
Rule 5 pick Tim Leahy will try to get out of this 2-out jam. The bases are full of Brewers. Leahy was acquired from Tampa Bay on the same day he was taken by the Rays from Minnesota with the first pick of this most recent Rule 5 draft. Normally those Rule 5 deals are prearranged. Now how does that work? You don't tell the team who you're going to take, right? You just kind of the last minute, you give them the name. You just kind of arrange, we'll have that pick. I know there was question about Josh Hamilton. Well, you know, the Cubs were not prepared to take him last year, but they took him and then dealt him to the Reds.
I think depending on circumstances and organizations that are involved, as you said many times, it's a prearranged deal, and you know, if you don't keep a guy who's a Rule 5 pick, you have to at least offer him back to his former ball club at a discounted rate. So a lot of times you'll see a Rule 5 guy carried on a major league roster for an entire season and really not get much playing time, because you want to have him in your organization. You have to keep him at the major league level or risk losing him. So it's been known to happen that a ball club went with a 24-man roster carrying a Rule 5 pick just so they could keep him for the future.
I believe the Rule 5 guys are like $50,000, and you offer him back to the original team for half that. But I also think he has to go through the waiver process. So we'll see if he'll make the Cubs roster or be offered back. I know the Cubs are very high on him. Good sinking fastball. He was drafted as a catcher, converted to the mound in 2005. He hit .202 in 84 rookie league at bats in 2004.
Yeah, you hit .202, it'll either send you home or send you to a different position, and in this case Leahy has found a home out there on the mound.
Swung on and missed. That'll help his cause. As the Brewers strand 3, 4-3 Milwaukee.
Place your hand here. Can't feel the temperature-controlled air flowing from the lush leather? That's because there's only one place to experience the innovative details offered in the ES. Your Lexus dealer, where you can lease the 2008 ES for $409 a month for 36 months with $3509 due at signing.
Buffalo Wild Wings. You have to be here.
Cup holders, researchers say, is one of the top reasons women buy one car over another. Not horsepower, not available features like an 8-inch nav screen or black leather trim. Nope, cup holders. Maybe those researchers need a little quality time with a different kind of woman.
Tomorrow, Bulls basketball plays on Comcast Sportsnet Plus as Kirk Heinrich and the Bulls look to turn down the volume on the Jazz as they tip off at the UC. Coverage starts at 7 with Dex Bulls pregame live. Bulls Jazz tomorrow at 7 on Comcast Sportsnet Plus. Fans' best friend.
This is the year, and you have a chance to be at every game. The new CBOE Seats season ticket auction will give you that chance. Bid today at the CBOE Seats season ticket auction to win season tickets, including the rights to purchase postseason tickets. The new CBOE Seats located in the first 3 rows between the Cubs dugout and the Cubs pen. Only available at Cubs.com. Find the CBOE Seats season ticket auction today at Cubs.com. We get going in the 4th with Josh Kroger, who knocked in a run with a single in the first inning. 4-3 Milwaukee. Have you been following this Joe Girardi Tampa Bay Rays story?
You know, I didn't see the actual play itself. I did read about the comments in the paper this morning, and I'm not sure which side I fall on that. You know, you teach your guys to play hard all the time. And for those of you who aren't familiar, apparently there was a collision play at home plate in a spring training game in Florida, and a Tampa Bay Devil Ray runner bowled over the Yankee catcher, and unfortunately, the catcher came up with a broken bone in his wrist after the play. Joe Girardi was very adamant that it was unnecessary, shouldn't happen in spring training, and Don Zimmer came to the defense of his own Devil Ray player, saying that that's the way we teach our guys to play, and Joe Girardi was that kind of player when he had a uniform on, so I'm not sure what the beef is there, but You hate to see anybody for any ball club get hurt in a spring training game, but the reality is you want your guys to play the game the right way and play hard. By all reports, it wasn't a dirty play. It was a clean collision at home plate, and unfortunately, when that happens, guys get hurt occasionally.
Elliott Johnson was a Tampa Bay player who collided with Francisco Cervelli, and as you mentioned, the Yankee catcher suffered a broken right wrist.
I think Joe may have even been more upset had it been Jorge Posada that suffered the broken bone in his wrist.
Fielder will retire. Mark DeRosa, who's 0 for 2. Lou was asked about it, and he said, you know, how do you tell a player not to play hard? You don't want to see anyone get hurt. He said it's hard to swallow, but part of the game. Well, then you go back to Pete. Was it Pete Rose in the All-Star game, right?
Ray Fosse, yeah. And Fosse went on to play after that collision at home plate, but he was never the same player that he was before that collision. Ray Fosse was on his way to being one of the best catchers in the game, and physically was just never able to get back to that level.
Cold beer right here. Cold beer, Miller Lite. Bud Light right here. MGD.
1-1 on Blanco.
Cold beers right here.
It is interesting when you think about it. It's the only time where you can just run somebody over. I mean, just
at least legally, yeah.
Right. Now, I guess if a guy's going to stand right on first base, a first baseman, you can run over him to get there, but that generally wouldn't happen off the end of the bat. And Blanco's retired by Bush. Dave Bush has really settled down after giving up 3 in the first inning. 4-3 Brewers.
It's NCAA March Madness, when passion, performance, and style make the difference. When the best of the best put it all out on the floor for the biggest event of the season, the Buick Pontiac GMC March Madness sales event. Well-qualified buyers can get 0% financing for 60 months on any 2008 GMC Sierra 1500. That's over $6,400 in average finance savings. For more information, visit gmcdrive.com.
Hi everybody, Harry Carey here to introduce Advanced TV from AT&T, the newest choice for your television in Chicago. Advanced TV's 100% all digital, DVR included. Nobody knows where DVR comes from. It kind of just shows up like meteorites or government cheese.
Now with DVR included and $50 cash back.
DVR spelled backwards is rived.
What does it take to be the 2008 Motor Trend Truck of the Year? Power, quality, and fuel economy. The Toyota Tundra, the 2008 Motor Trend Truck of the Year. Now get 0% APR financing or $3,000 cash back. Find out more at ytundra.com. It's a great way to keep moving forward.
Well, they're all big now for the Blackhawks. Don't miss an Original 6 showdown on Comcast Sportsnet tomorrow. Blackhawks head to Detroit for a battle with the rival Red Wings. Blackhawks Red Wings tomorrow night at 6:30 right here on Comcast Sportsnet, fans' best friend. Len and Bob from Maryvale Baseball Park in West Phoenix. Along with our Comcast Sportsnet crew, our producer today, Pete Toma, Jim Angio, our director, our associate producer, Mark Brady. A very nice ballpark.
Yeah, it really is, Len, and the accessibility of this ballpark causes it to be one of the most popular among the major league scouts. Quite a contingent of scouts here at the ball game today. Ample parking around the stadium. Big group of scouts here watching today.
Abraham Nunez will hit it just foul down the left field line. Getting a chance to bat from both sides of the plate today. And a lot of Cub fans. There's the press box. Where's Paul Sullivan? See him? Ran into Cubs pro scout Jim Crawdaddy Crawford before the ball game.
I talked a little fishing with Crawdaddy last week. He always makes me jealous because he's got friends that have ponds that have big fish in them. I tell him I caught a 5-pound bass. He said, "Here, I use that for bait."
Saw Matt Slater, a special assistant to the general manager in St. Louis. Actually went to college at Marquette with Matt. Used to work in the Dodgers organization. See a lot of scouts, as you said, at every spring training game. Kapler has 2 hits. One was an RBI double. That dirt's pretty hard right in front of home plate. We've seen a lot of high choppers.
See that around the airport a lot too.
High choppers.
Yeah.
I love what they do here. They have the young PA announcer come in for a half inning.
Well, you got to get the guest PA announcer in there early in the ball game while enough of the starters with their names on their backs are still in the game, because if you wait till the 8th or 9th inning, it's going to be a bunch of guys wearing number 88 with no name on their back.
And the first time they do it, they almost scream because they're not quite familiar with the idea of speaking into a microphone and then everybody can hear it, but it's great.
The more you can get the kids involved, the better off we all are.
No doubt. The Cubs had the shift on, so Terrio is playing up the middle, and Tim Leahy's done a nice job. 4 up, 4 down for the young right-hander. 4-3 Brewers.
Now is the time. Here is the place. And this is the word. Every Chevy car, pickup, and SUV is backed by the 100,000-mile, 5-year transferable powertrain warranty. Well-qualified buyers get 2.9% APR financing for 60 months plus $1,000 bonus cash on select Chevy vehicles. Shop Chevy now. Log on now to ChevyDriveChicago.com. Check us out.
This month, the scandalous Royals are back on Showtime.
I have to possess you utterly.
This is unacceptable.
For a new rollicking season.
He can do what he likes in Rome. I'll do what I like here.
Fit for the most rocking king in history.
Whose subjects are you? The Pope's or mine?
The Tudors, Sundays at 9/8 Central.
Only on Showtime.
America's hottest premium network.
Call now to order.
It's time for championship basketball on ESPN, ESPN2, and Comcast Sportsnet on Mediacom Cable. Brought to you in part by ORA. Watch as teams fight to the finish for their respective spots in the Big Dance later this month. Watch the Big Ten, Missouri Valley, Big 12, ACC, and more on ESPN, ESPN2, and Comcast. Brought to you in part by ORA and Mediacom.
You're watching the home of the Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, and White Sox. Comcast Sportsnet.
Experience Cubs baseball from the private comfort of the batter's eye in center field, offering a spectacular view and catered service for groups of 75 to 100. The batter's eye is a great option for entertaining in Chicago's unpredictable spring weather. The batter's eye is also available for non-game day functions. To book your date or for more info, visit Cubs.com or call 773-404-CUBS. Well, the forecast back in Chicago, the temperatures should get up, hopefully up into the 60s in a couple of days. I don't think it's going to last long.
And
but
stay there, please, please.
Please stay there, at least be there around March 31st. The Brewers will go with left-hander Manny Parra. Dave Bush allowed 4 of the 5 first hitters he faced today to reach base, and then he retired 11 in a row to end his outing. Parra faces Sam Fold with Ronnie Cedeno pinch hitting on deck. A couple of other games we're keeping an eye on. Randy Johnson made his spring debut, and the results were not good, but that's not the #1 question there. It's how the back feels. As Sam Fold swings and grounds out to short. 1 1/3 against the Rockies today. He gave up 4 hits, 3 runs, 1 walk, 1 strikeout, and a home run allowed. And that was to Chris Iannetta.
The Diamondbacks figure to have a real good rotation with or without Randy Johnson, but certainly you put that future Hall of Famer in there between Dan Herron and Brandon Webb, followed by Doug Davis, another lefty. Micah Owings in the 5 spot for the Diamondbacks. A very formidable starting rotation.
And Seattle playing the White Sox today. It's 4-3 White Sox in the 4th inning. I don't see Ichiro on that list, so he's still 0 for 14. Although, let me check it. It could be a split squad. Nope, no split squad for the Mariners. Cut off by Nunez.
Next batter for Chicago, leadoff hitter, #2, shortstop.
Southpaw Les Walrond will be the next Cubs pitcher. Pudge Rodriguez with his 3rd home run. Miguel Cabrera hit his 1st as a Tiger in spring training, as Detroit beat the Nationals 4-3 in Florida. Cleveland 12-10 over Tampa Bay. Paul Bird got the win. Let's see, Andrew Jones with a home run for the Dodgers.
I always find it interesting in spring training. You know, you look at the standings, they give us our stat sheet every day, arranged just like they would be during the regular season. They don't have them separated into Cactus League and Grapefruit League and so forth and so on. Tampa Bay Devil Rays were leading that American League Eastern Division going into play today. If the season ended today, the Devil Rays, the Twins, and the A's would be the division winners in the American League, and Anaheim and Baltimore would be tied for the wild card.
If the season were to end today, the magic number is 4. 4-3 Milwaukee.
Hey, Nick, check this out. This Business Select thing is great. I get to be one of the first aboard, and I get extra rapid rewards credit and a free drink.
Shh, keep it down.
What? No, I want to shout this from the rooftops. I got Business Select!
Hey, what? I know it's great, man, but if everybody knows about it, then everyone's gonna do it.
Southwest Airlines' new Business Select. You're guaranteed to be one of the first aboard. You get extra rapid rewards credit, a free drink, and it's fully refundable.
You're now free to be more productive.
The road to happiness. Something's brewing here.
Medioso, non-fat, $7.75.
$8?
Hello, there's a drought in the Moroccan rainforest.
Moroccan rainforest?
That's right.
Put your money in an orange savings account. Watching your money grow, that's a habit that leads to happiness. Thanks. No thanks.
High interest, no fees, no minimums. That's the boost your savings need on the road to happiness.
You hear car, and what comes to mind? Okay, that's not car. And it's not 2 tons of metal, glass, and rubber. Car is the reason you got your license in the first place. The way you felt about your first car. And unlike other vehicles, car is all about you. And car is what makes a Pontiac, like the first ever Pontiac G8 GT, the most powerful car under 30 grand.
Glad to have you with us as the Cubs and the Brewers previewing opening day at Wrigley Field. Mike Fontenot is into play shortstop. And a shortstop by trade, Ronnie Cedeno playing center. So in both cases, guys playing other positions just to show their versatility. And Les Walrond's on the mound.
See the numbers in his 25 1/3 innings pitched at the major league level. Wallman 1-1 this spring in an inning and 2/3, giving up only a couple of base hits. However, has given up 4 runs.
He'll face Corey Hart, followed by Alcides Escobar and Tony Gwynn, scheduled hitters, which you always have to say in spring training. No guarantee that Les Walren will face those 3. Other news and notes from around baseball: former Cub Freddie Bynum, who was competing for the vacant starting shortstop job with the Baltimore Orioles, will have right knee surgery and is going to miss 5 weeks. We'll see the Orioles in interleague play. First time they will have ever come to Wrigley Field. That'll be in late June. Cubs get a break. They don't play the Red Sox or the Yankees. Corey Hart skies it into right center field. It's going to split the gap. Kosuke over to cut it off. Here's his throw towards second base. One hop to Fontenot, but late. There is a lot of room in the outfield here at Maryvale Baseball Park.
It's 400 to the gap in right center field, 378 to the gap in left center field. And Ronnie Cedeno, you know, you put a guy out of position, that ball will find him quickly. That time, Kosuke Fukudome able to come over and cut that ball off before it got to the wall. Ronnie was shading over into left center for Corey Hart, and he crossed up the shift by hitting the ball the other way.
The Brewers will go to Fenway Park in mid-May. The Cubs out of the American League East will face Baltimore at home and then a trip to Toronto and Tampa Bay. Escobar lines it foul. He's one of the Brewers' top prospects. Let's see here on the Baseball America list. He is their number 3 prospect going into the 2008 campaign.
Well, the little bit we've seen of him here today, you can see why. Really quick on the bases, has a strong throwing arm from the shortstop position.
He bounces to Walren. And has to throw to first base, and Escobar beat it out. Ramirez was not at third base, so Walren only had 1 play.
Looks like Derek Lee may have gotten stepped on down there at first base once again. If I'm not mistaken, it was Escobar that did it the last time. Yeah, you can clearly see Ramirez came off the bag there thinking he was going to have to field that chopper. When Walren made the play, Ramirez was screaming and pointing at first base because there was nobody at the bag at third. And once again, Derek Lee gets stepped on over there at first.
Well, it is concrete in front of home plate. Nobody out with runners at first and third for Gwynn. This is the 11th spring training for the Brewers at Maryvale Baseball Park. They have a lease here through 2012, and I was looking at some of the attendance numbers. In the opener on February 28th against Oakland, they drew just 2,260. I'm going to guess this will probably be the biggest crowd they've seen. And that's because there are a ton of Cub fans in attendance. And this is a Monday afternoon. And there are very few empty seats. Every team in the Cactus League wants to host the Cubs as many times as possible.
Well, you're right about that. To use a college football term, the Cubs travel well. Their fans follow them wherever they play. And of course, a lot of Cub fans down here in the Valley of the Sun year round.
Two balls, 2 strikes. While Tony Gwynn Sr. is a hero in San Diego and always will be, Tony Gwynn Jr. is not that popular right now because he came up with a game-tying RBI triple on the second to last day of the season. Runner was going from first base. Corey Hart did a nice job, and that cost the Cubs. I'll tell you, Bob, Corey Hart, just textbook. Ramirez was off third base. There was nobody else near the bag, and he made Aramis hesitate.
That's a pretty crafty base running play right there by Corey Hart. As you mentioned, he knew there was nobody covering the bag, so he can go off the bag as far as Ramirez is. Ramirez had to give him a look to make sure he stopped his momentum, and that's all the time Tony Gwynn Jr. needed to leg that out at first base. The throwback not in time to Fontenot to try to get Hart going back to the bag. Nice piece of hitting on a hit and run play right there. Just make contact, put the ball on the ground, and that time it worked out to be a base hit for Tony Gwynn.
Well, for you youngsters out there, I mean, Corey Hart can run. He has good speed, but we talk a lot about smart base running. And that was a very smart base running play, and it really has put Les Walren in a bind.
Yeah, Len, I talk all the time about, to steal another sports term, court awareness in basketball, field awareness in baseball. You don't have to be the fastest runner on the field if you understand where the defenders are on a given play. And that time Corey Hart knew that there was nobody to cover the bag at third, and he could come off as far as Ramirez did. And that put a lot of pressure on Rami. First to check on Corey to make sure he stopped, and then to rush that throw across the infield just a little bit too late.
And I don't know what else Aramis could have done. You can't just let the guy walk to the plate. Fly to left. Kroger's going to get set with Hart tagging, and he'll lob it back in to Ramirez. It's now 5-3. Yeah, I don't really believe there was much Ramirez could do about it.
With some base runners, you could you could bluff that throw early, hoping to draw them further off the bag at third, and then try to beat him in a foot race back to the bag. But as you mentioned, Corey Hart is a good base runner. He's a fast base runner, and he wasn't going to fall for that anyway.
It brings up Manny Parra. Dave Bush had an RBI single, a run, and a walk. Runners left at first and second. That was a knee buckler, but it missed. It's funny, these two teams have built a pretty good rivalry. I don't know if there's hate involved, but the two best teams in the division last year, you would expect that they'll be battling atop the division in 2008, but it's spring training and you just don't get that sense of animosity whatsoever, do you?
No, not really. I mean, unless there's been past history this spring. If these two teams had hooked up last week and somebody got drilled, or maybe one team ran it up a little more than they should, sometimes you'll see that in spring training, but not nearly the same intensity that we will see at Wrigley Field or Miller Park this year.
There have been spring training brawls, generally over hit batsmen and things of that nature. Do you settle any scores from previous seasons in spring training? Is that one place to do it?
I personally think it's a great place to do it. If it's an individual, if somebody has done something that you felt was an affront to your ball club the year before, or 2 years before, or 3 years before, however long your memory lasts, it's a great time to pay back.
You can always blame it on, well, I haven't thrown a lot of innings. I'm a little wild.
It's early. I'm rusty.
So Parra strikes out, and Ricky Weeks will bat.
Next batter for Brewers, leadoff hitter, number 23, second baseman Ricky Weeks.
Fourth at bat already for Weeks.
A good opportunity to wiggle off the hook here for Les Walren after having bases loaded, nobody out. If he could retire Weeks right here, get out of the inning with only 1 run scored, that's a pretty good job of damage control.
2 of their 3 hits in this frame have been infield singles. A little bit below the knees. will be interesting to see if there's any carryover effect between the Cubs and the Padres. Last year, the benches cleared as Derek Lee and Chris Young went at it at Wrigley Field. They'll play in Mesa coming up on Thursday. Some former Cubs with the Padres, Greg Maddux, Michael Barrett, and now Mark Pryor. I think you could take Andy Mazer in the radio booth. That's just my pregame assessment.
Well, that would be Ron's job, really. I mean, you know, the radio guys pick on the radio guys. And same thing with TV.
Pat Hughes and Ted Leitner.
Oh, doctor. You can have Jerry Coleman.
I'll tell you, I wouldn't want to mess with Jerry.
Yeah.
He's a tough guy. Weeks didn't think that was a strike.
Yeah, Weeks was starting out of the batter's box as he got the delayed strike call. Now with a full count, 2 outs, the runners will be in motion on the pitch.
There they go on the 3-2, and that's ball 4. Much different field today than yesterday when the Cubs pitching staff gave up just 2 hits to Kansas City.
Hey, Cub fans, still looking to get tickets to the hottest Cub games this year? Visit www.cubs.com and click on StubHub, the official fan-to-fan ticket marketplace of Cubs.com. See a Cubs game from the best seats at Wrigley Field? Check out StubHub at www.cubs.com, where baseball is always on.
5-3 Milwaukee. And the Brewers have the bases loaded once again. The pitch to Abraham Nunez, swung on and missed. Escobar is at third, Gwynn at second, Weeks at first. The left-hander deals. 2-1.
Great speed on the bases right now for the Brewers. We need to get the third out of this inning right here. Any kind of a gapper will easily score all 3.
A 2-hopper to Mike Fontenot. Close play at second, just getting Ricky Weeks. The Brewers add 1 and now lead by 2.
You'll be amazed where a pin can take you. Just sign your name and drive away with any new Mercury during the Mercury Signature Sales Event. With 0 cash to it signing on Mercury Mariner, Mercury Sable, and Mercury Milan, the only midsize car with sync powered by Microsoft. Now drive off in a new Mercury Milan with 0 down, 0 first month's payment, and 0 cash to it signing for just $239 a month. You've got to put Mercury on your list.
Plan your next corporate or social function in one of Wrigley Field's private party accommodations. Wrigley Field offers a variety of private catered opportunities to host and impress your group. The Mezzanine Suites, presented by Nuveen Investments, has 4 convenient rental plans to fit all budgets and needs. For larger parties of 75 to 100, the Batter's Eye, located in the center field Bud Light bleachers, provides a unique view of the game. All private party accommodations provide generous food and beverage packages as well as VIP parking. Call 773-404-CUBS or visit Cubs.com.
Expert control. Authentic capability. The odds your route is decided by whichever way the wind blows. 8 to 1. The new Land Rover LR2 HSE. Created for the one. Extraordinarily equipped at 36,150. Visit your local Land Rover Center.
Tomorrow, Jonathan James and the Blackhawks are out for a huge win as they take on the top-ranked Red Wings in Detroit, followed by Crown Royal Blackhawks post-game live. Blackhawks Red Wings tomorrow at 6:30 on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend.
Well, go Cubs. A lot of Kosuke Fukudome fans here at Maryvale Baseball Park. Unfortunately, Kosuke and the Cubs are trailing right now. But he has a chance to help them get the lead back. Down 2 as we begin the 6th. The Cubs without a hit since Josh Kroger's RBI single in the 1st inning. Shingo Takatsu warming up. Cubs hitting coach Gerald Perry told me before the game, I just asked him about the approach from Kosuke and just what he has seen. He said he has terrific hand-eye coordination. That's the first thing he really noticed. Also, you notice Fukudome stands pretty close to the plate, but he's actually backed off the plate a little bit. I saw him in the Cactus League debut, and he was right on top of home plate.
Much like Ichiro, there are times when, because of his body movement, he kind of glides out there toward the pitcher. It almost looks like he's swinging at the ball and running out of the batter's box at the same time. Now, if a pitch is left over the inside part of the plate, he's a little more likely to get that front foot down, stop the glide, and turn on a pitch, but he rarely gets fooled. He will take the occasional funny-looking swing like we saw in his first at-bat of the ball game today, or rather his second at-bat when he struck out, but, you know, it's an approach that's worked for him because of his strong hand-eye coordination. A lot of movement in that approach, something you normally wouldn't teach a young hitter, but it's worked well for Fukudome, with the exception of that swing.
That one spun him around.
This is just what I was talking about. You see a lot of movement there, gets fooled a little bit by a breaking ball on the outside part of the plate, just tries to get a piece of it to stay alive, comes up empty, and then the finish looks a little funny, but by then the ball's already in the catcher's glove. That's just eyewash.
No worries about Derek Lee, even though he's off to a slow start. Came in at 167 and without a hit in 2 tries.
That's one thing Lou said this morning, too. He wasn't overly concerned, but he said, I'd like to see our first baseman get it going a little bit just for his own peace of mind. You know, Derek had been traditionally a slow starter throughout his career until the last couple of years, and obviously, if the Cubs are going to get off to a good start this year, they're going to need Derek Lee's bat in the middle of that lineup.
You can be so fooled by spring training. Guys who make the club and are just red hot, and then they struggle early on in the season, or just the opposite. You have a terrible spring, and then all of a sudden, when all the fanfare of opening day hits, you go 3 for 4. Broken bat part just got out of the way. And Escobar with an easy play. Now Nomar can hit. He has hit throughout his entire career, but a couple of years ago, might have been 05. Yeah, I guess it would have been 2005. I don't think I've seen a hitter be hotter in spring training. And then he cooled off at the worst time, right when the regular season began.
That's why spring training is vastly overrated. Nobody remembers who led the Cactus League in hitting last year. Nobody remembers who led the Cactus League in home runs last year.
Didn't Henry Blanco lead the league in hitting one of these years? He had one spring where he just was red hot.
You know, and you can kind of gear your excuse to whatever kind of spring you're having. If you're hitting the ball well, you say, yeah, you know, I want to get ready. I want to charge into the regular season and, you know, be at full strength. If you're struggling in spring training, you just say, I'm working on some things. You know, I'm mechanically, I changed a few things in my swing. I'm having a hard time getting my timing down, but I'll be all right come opening day.
Last year, Derek hit .392 in the first month.
Some guys are just better players as the season progresses. They get a few more at-bats under their belt. The weather heats up a little bit. You know, down here in spring training, especially here in Arizona with the thin air, pitchers have a hard time getting the same kind of break on their breaking balls that they will have during the regular season. So usually you'll see the spring training offensive numbers inflated, even though the pitchers are usually a little bit ahead of the hitters. But because of the conditions here, we've talked about the hard ground in front of home plate, the way the ball carries, like this one.
It really does carry for Aramis. It just hit the top of the wall. It almost got out. He really extended his arms on that swing and doubles off the left center field wall. First extra base hit, actually second of the game and second of the spring. 2-run double in the first.
A real good example of the kind of power that Aramis Ramirez has. That pitch is outside off the plate, just kind of reaches out there. A lot of wrists, a lot of arms in that swing, and hits it about 3/4 of the way up the wall in deep left center field. Now, I spent a couple years in the Pacific Coast League playing here in Phoenix, and it's not unusual to have team batting averages over 300 in the Pacific Coast League. As the season progresses, the fields get harder and harder. The ball always carries extremely well, and as I mentioned before, it's tough on the pitchers to get any kind of movement on their breaking pitches in the thinner air.
Off the top of your head, do you remember month to month how you did, how you felt? I don't think I have the entire career of yours on the splits, but Baseball Reference does break it down month to month. What would you be if you had to guess? What was your best month statistically?
I would guess late in the season.
August.
Yeah.
Yep. Really, June, July, and August were your 3 best months.
I liked it hot. Of course, it never got hot at Candlestick Park, so it's a moot point.
All right, how about this? Lefties or righties?
I think I probably hit righties better because the lefties that I usually got hooked up against were changeup pitchers, and they killed me.
Yeah, you were better against righties.
Marginally.
Actually, your home and away numbers were pretty similar. You played in all those big all-purpose ballparks on the West Coast.
You know, playing 81 games a year at Candlestick Park is enough to make you want to retire anyway, but I still to this day insist that Willie Mays, had he played his career anywhere other than Candlestick Park, would have just set ridiculous home run records. He actually altered his swing when the team moved to San Francisco to take advantage of the wind that blew out to right center field. As a right-handed hitter, you could drive the ball to the opposite field. You had no chance to hit it out to left.
A swing and a miss, and the Sausages made the trip down from Milwaukee. We'll have the highlights when we come back. It's 5-3 Brewers.
Cup holders, researchers say, is one of the top reasons women buy one car over another. Not horsepower, not available features like an 8-inch nav screen or black leather trim. Nope, cup holders. Maybe those researchers need a little quality time with a different kind of woman.
You never know who's going to drop by Chicago Tribune Live. John McDonough.
I'm anxious to help Dale get all the resources that he needs to make this team a Stanley Cup champion.
Chicago Tribune Live, presented by your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers. Tonight at 5:30 on Comcast.
All Franke USA kitchen sinks are on sale during the kitchen and bath sale at Menards. This double bowl stainless steel model has a mirror deck with high gloss bowls, only $99. This granite model can be top or undermounted, available in 3 attractive colors, $199. Save energy and money with energy efficient fluorescent lighting from American Fluorescent. Choose from this shop light or a fluorescent wraparound light, $14.99 each.
Save big money at Menards. My name is John Waddell, and I'm the head golf professional at Palmer Hills Golf Course. It is easy to use On Media for advertising because there is help out there for you. On Media helped us target our demographic better than what some of the other advertising routes would. I like the fact that people tell me when they see our commercial, it helps us to track our advertising dollars, which in a lot of advertising is very hard to do.
If you're interested in a media where you can track your results, call me, Amy Thomas, at 797-2907.
Last of the sixth, Shingo Takatsu, who gave up a couple of runs in the ninth the other day versus Oakland and Phoenix as the Cubs suffered a loss on a split squad day. So looking for a better result in this one. Suffered the blown save. And he faces Gabe Kapler. That pitch caught the zone to make it 1-1. More changes for the Cubs. We will get to them as we move along. I think J.D. Closser's catching. Can't make out his entire number, but I did see J.D. before the ball game, and Henry Blanco is out. Eric Patterson's playing right field. Sky high off the bat of Gabe Kapler. Fontenot and DeRosa get together, and it's Mark to handle it. Casey McGee's playing the hot corner.
Would that then make first base the cool corner where Micah Hoffpower is?
The cold corner, manned by Micah Hoffpower, who continues his games played streak. He has played every day so far. A lot of the starters getting their running and walking in. We got all excited about the sausage race. They don't race until the end of the sixth. We should know that from our many games in Milwaukee. 3-1 on the putout.
It gives us a moment to handicap the sausage race here. Believe it or not, in the media guide, they actually have the number of wins for the various cased meats. And if you're interested, Hot Dog was the big winner in 07. 24 victories at Miller Park for Hot Dog. Second place was Polish with 20 wins. Then you drop down to Chorizo with 16, Italian with 15, and Bratwurst bringing up the rear with 10. Now that's based on 82. Actually, they played 82 home games this year.
You know what it was? Didn't the Indians play the Angels? I think they counted those games.
Angels series, they counted as well. So if you're totaling them up, that's why it's not 81 games as you would expect. But the Hot Dog was the big winner in 07. I'm going with Hot Dog today.
I will go with the brat. That's what I'd like to eat. So I'm going to go with the brat. Gabe Gross is batting for Corey Hart. Gross battling for a roster spot and playing time in center early in the year with Mike Cameron on the suspended list for the first 25. That was before he signed with Milwaukee. Cameron suspended for a second positive test for a stimulant that is banned under baseball's drug program. And the signing of Cameron actually was big for several reasons. It allowed the Brewers to move Ryan Braun from third base, where he struggled last year defensively. He's now in right or left, and Bill Hall goes from center to third. So their outfield, once Cameron's back, left to right, will be Braun, Cameron, Hart. Takatsu's 3-1 is off the plate, ball 4. He'll face Escobar with 2 outs. So last night I called our producer Pete Toma, gave me his room number. I dialed it. It was 911. I forgot to hit 7.
Oh no.
The operator was very nice. Just, you know, I just dialed in room 911. I dialed it. 911, your location?
Oh.
I said, sorry, I'm actually in the hotel. I was trying to
Is
dial
Pete there?
room 911. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'll hit 7. I bet you that happens more often than it should.
Hello, ladies.
We always call Pete in an emergency, so it's appropriate.
Right. Guys, I apologize. I did not mean to take up your time last night. Fancy footwork over there by Gabe Gross. I'm sure this has happened to you. How many times in your life have you picked up the phone to dial and you end up answering it? Does that ever happen?
Yeah, it has
you
happened.
Pick up the phone to dial and someone's talking. They call you at the exact second and the phone hasn't rung yet.
It doesn't happen often, but it has happened.
Oh, the Frisbee slider, and he gets Escobar to end the inning. Nasty pitch. Brewers 5, Cubs 3.
I don't think you're supposed to put coins in there.
Want to get away? Now you can. Fly Southwest Airlines from Chicago Midway to all these cities for just $49 one way. Purchased by March 20th.
You are now free to move about the country.
Hi everybody, Harry Carey here to introduce Advanced TV from AT&T, the newest choice for your television in Chicago. Advanced TV's 100% all digital, DVR included. Nobody knows where DVR comes from. It kind of just shows up like meteorites or government cheese.
Now with DVR included and $50 cash back.
DVR spelled backwards is rived.
It's NCAA March Madness, when passion, performance, and style make the difference. When the best of the best put it all out on the floor for the biggest event of the season, the Buick Pontiac GMC March Madness sales event. Well-qualified buyers can get 0% financing for 60 months on any 2008 GMC Sierra 1500. That's over $6,400 in average finance savings. For more information, visit gmcdrive.com.
The Pacific Life Pac-10 Men's Tournament. 3 days of exclusive coverage with a ticket to the big dance on the line. The action begins Wednesday on Comcast Sportsnet.
Watch lane 4, the hot dog. You got to bet on the guy that's smiling. Gets off to a little bit of a slow start. The Polish streaking out of the starting gate. It's slow and steady, wins the race. Hot dog making up ground in a hurry. Past the Brewers dugout. Photo finish. Goes to the hot dog. I love it.
Nicely done on the prediction. Mark DeRosa hits a ground ball to third base, and he is now 0 for 3.
Over aggressiveness on the part of Mark DeRosa, and you can certainly understand that. He's wanted to get out there on the field and compete with his teammates for a long time, but I mean, a little overly aggressive at the plate today. Has made a couple of real quick outs.
Manny Parra in his 3rd inning of work. He's their number 2 prospect, according to Baseball America. The switch hitting J.D. Closser looks at strike 1. He pops it up off the end of the bat. Easy play for Weeks. The sausages are pretty popular. Signing some autographs.
Down in front.
Sign up for a subscription to Vineline, the official monthly magazine of the Chicago Cubs. Vineline offers exclusive player features, team analysis, and minor league coverage. In print and now available online through the Cubs Club on Cubs.com. Visit the Cubs official website to order Vineline today. Mike Fontenot is thrown out, and that's an easy 1-2-3 seventh inning. Not much going for the Cubs offensively after a 3-run first. They trail by 2.
Reach out and press here, and here, and here. Feel how better placement of controls leads to better focus on the road? If not, that's because there's only one place to experience the intuitive design of the RX. Your Lexus dealer. Where you can lease the 2008 RX all-wheel drive for $459 a month for 36 months with $35.59 due at signing.
Hey, baseball fans, how would you like to have the coolest house on the block? Come to Sweet Play for the largest selection of Brunswick pool tables, game tables, bars and bar stools, home theater seating, arcade games, air hockey, and outdoor living patio furniture to entertain friends and family. Bring home the fun at 4 convenient locations in Algonquin, Downers Grove, Deerfield, and Naperville. Visit sweetplay.com for store hours and directions.
Now is the time. Here is the place. And this is the truck. Chevy Silverado Half-Ton. The full-size pickup available with best-in-class 4x4 fuel economy. Well-qualified buyers. Get yours with 0% APR financing for 60 months. Shop Chevy now. Log on now to ChevyDriveChicago.com. Check us out today.
Chicago Tribune Live, presented by your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers. Weeknights at 5:30 on Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend.
Tonight, catch the latest edition of Chicago Tribune Live on Comcast Sportsnet. David Kaplan, Tribune writers, sports stars, and celebrities discuss the day's hottest sports topics and set the table for the night ahead. Don't miss Chicago Tribune Live tonight at 5:30 right here on Comcast Sportsnet. Some more alterations to the Cubs lineup as Andres Blanco, who really has impressed Lou Piniella, particularly defensively, will now form that double play combination with Mike Fontenot, and left-hander Ed Campiasano will do the pitching. We're in the bottom of the 7th from Maryvale Baseball Park in Phoenix. Tony Gwynn shows bunt and takes a strike. Kind of got cut off earlier as Gwynn picked up an infield single. He had a big game-tying hit against the Padres as Trevor Hoffman was trying to wrap up a playoff spot for San Diego. The second to last day of the season, Milwaukee would win in extras. And the weird thing about it is Tony Gwynn, when he was a kid, he would go to the ballpark with his dad and he would hang with Trevor Hoffman. So, I mean, when he was, you know, what, 12, 13, 14 years old, he's hanging with a future Hall of Fame closer. And eventually, he would cause a lot of heartbreak in that Padres clubhouse with that big hit. Although I'm sure the Padres would tell you, you know what, we had a lot of other chances to clinch that playoff spot. They lost the next day and then had a lead in extras in Colorado. And the Rockies scored, what, 3? The bottom of the 13th to win it. One of the great play-in games of all time. Ronnie Cedeno lost it in the sun. And Tony Gwynn is going to round second and head for third. And he'll be credited likely with a triple.
Lack of experience playing the outfield. Ronnie actually plays this ball right into the heart of the sun. You can't really tell from that angle, but judging from the shadows out there in center field, he would have been much better served to try to get on the left field side of that ball, looking back toward the right field line rather than looking right up into the sun. And I'm sure with a little more defensive work in the outfield, that's something that he will master at some point in the future.
The infield is drawn in against Eric Munson, who fouls off. That Arizona high sky, although there are a few clouds up there.
Yeah, most players will tell you they'll take conditions like this today. It's when there are absolutely no clouds to be found. You've got that deep blue sky and the bright sunlight.
Long run for Cedeno, and he's going to have to track it down off the wall as Munson picks up his second RBI to make it 6-3.
Well, Eric Munson stating his case for making that backup catcher's role with this Brewers ball club. Of course, Jason Kendall, former Cub, will be the starting catcher, but some pretty lively competition for that backup catcher's job, and Munson doesn't do anything to hurt his chances here, splitting the gap in right center field, flexing his muscles a little bit, showing some power.
Second at bat for Manny Parra. And he bunts it foul.
You talk about all the drills that the pitchers do here in spring training, beside their side throwing sessions and their pitching related work that they do, but they do spend an awful lot of time in the cage bunting. But it's a completely different story bunting against an opposing pitcher, who's rushing that ball up there in the 90s and throwing breaking balls, changing speeds, moving it in, out, up, down, as opposed to a pitching machine that's set on one velocity right down the middle of the plate so you can work on your mechanics.
Popped it up. Campusano makes the catch.
That's one thing, Len, we were talking before the ball game as we watched the Brewers go through some of their defensive drills. You can drill all day long, but it's not really game speed action like you're going to see when you have opposing players in the batter's box or running the bases or playing defense, whatever the case may be. That's one of the hardest things a team has to do in spring training as they go through their fundamental drills, is try to simulate game speed. I was telling you before, to that end, when we did our rundown drills in Arizona spring training, we always called up 2 or 3 or 4 of the fastest players from our minor league camp to be the guys that were caught in the pickle. We wanted to simulate what it was going to be like in the game when there's actually a runner trying to avoid the tag, as opposed to just having your pitchers run the base in the drills, just for the sake of having a body in there caught in the rundown. Wasn't much challenge to run him down and tag him. It was always very easy. So we tried to make it more like game speed by bringing over some fast minor leaguers, and you had to execute it properly to get them out.
Yeah, ideally it actually would all work faster than it would in the regular season, so then it would just kind of slow things down. And there's a big difference between batting practice and facing live pitching. You hear about batting practice. When I think of batting practice, I think of a 57-year-old coach throwing the ball about 55 miles an hour right down the middle. When you talk about facing live pitching, which hitters do very early in spring training, and the pitchers have already been in camp for 7 to 10 days, that's not batting practice.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's more practice for the catcher, framing pitches, because hitters just don't make good solid contact against that live pitching the first couple of days. Now they catch up rather quickly. They get their timing, they get that live pitching on a daily basis, and maybe you crank up the pitching machine a little bit in the cage. You have the coach move the screen a little bit closer to home plate to simulate the game speed, and the hitters do catch up quickly. But that first couple days of live batting practice is ugly.
Fastball a little bit outside.
Then it's a great thrill for those kids that come over from minor league camp and get an opportunity to run the bases or put down bunts, whatever drill you happen to be working on that day. They get to go to big league camp for a day, and they appreciate that.
Runner at second with 1 out. And a high fly ball towards right. And it's caught by Blanco, the second baseman. He called off Eric Patterson and Micah Hoffpower to make the catch. Nunez without a hit.
A lot of extended duty for some of the Brewers today. Very few changes in Ned Yost's lineup. On the other hand, Lou has pretty much made wholesale changes with the exception of Josh Kroger out there in left field. And certainly the deeper you get into spring training, the more you want to stretch out your regular players. You know, it's one thing to come out here and get 2 or 3 at bats and get you running in and go home, but at some point you have to get used to standing on your feet for 2.5, 3.5 hours, playing 9 innings. And usually that's the last week to 10 days of spring training. You try to get your regulars in there for 9 innings.
Smacked foul on the ground near Dale Swain. Mario Becerra from the Cubs finance department in attendance and wanted to say hi to everybody back at Wrigley Field today. So in the finance department, Mario says, "Ha ha, I'm here." No, I'm kidding.
No, that's what he said. It really is.
We often see a lot of members of the Cubs organization try to sneak down here for a couple of days at a time and catch the Cubs in action. So Matt Wazolek, David Knickerbocker, Haley DeWitt, Joe Rios, Katie Marta over the weekend. Always good to see them. Senior Vice President of Community Affairs and General Counsel Mike Lafrano was in town.
I don't imagine it took much arm twisting to get them to leave Chicago and come down to Arizona for a week.
I think that's a fair assessment. It's a full count on Nunez. And he struck him out. Campusano gives up a run on a hit, but retires the final 3 of the inning, 6-3.
Save big money during the kitchen and bath sale at Menards. Start with a new shower from Max. Choose this 38-inch model with a high gloss finish for $379. The Neo Angle Tigris model features a clear glass door with chrome hardware, $549. All Delta faucets are on sale. Update your bathroom with this 2-handle Chrome Patriot model, $59. This Yorkshire model with chrome finish is $89. Plus there are 0 payments and no interest till 2009 with your big card.
Save big money at Menards.
If you're thinking of a new SUV, think about Toyota. With 6 different SUV models, whatever your needs are, wherever you'll take it, Toyota has something for you. Like the all-road capable Toyota RAV4, which handles country roads, city roads, and pretty much any road you can find. Toyota, a great way to keep moving forward.
Experience a Cubs game at historic Wrigley Field. Wrigley Field is a perfect choice for your next group function. For group outings of 20 or more, contact the group sales office at 773-404-CUBS or visit Cubs.com. See you at beautiful Wrigley Field.
Spring training is in full swing in the desert, and every night Comcast Sportsnet is all over Arizona for the latest Cubs and Sox news. Don't miss nightly reports from spring training on Chicago Tribune Live and Sports Night. Every night only on Comcast Sportsnet, fans' best friend.
Upcoming coverage. We will be on WGN coming up this weekend in Tucson against the White Sox, and back here on Comcast Sportsnet next Tuesday, I believe. And we have Mark DeRosa, who made his Cactus League debut in the dugout with us. Mark, how did you feel today? You went 0 for 3 at the plate, but that doesn't really matter.
No, you know what? You'd love to go 3 for 3. At the end of the day, I felt pretty darn good, so I can't complain. It's just nice to be one of the guys again and having fun and getting out here and mixing it up a little bit. I know the timing was going to be an issue, and Dave Bush has a little bit of a hitch in his windup that gives me problems from time to time, and I knew the curveballs and the off speeds were going to be few and far between, so I would have liked to jumped on a heater my last at bat, but rolled it over to third. But all in all, a positive.
Now, Mark, based on your experience throughout your career, what have you found for you personally to be like the last thing to get right before the regular season? You know, some guys, it's the knowledge of the strike zone or being able to hit the breaking ball. What have you found to be the most problematic thing?
For me, it's you know, it's a fine line between being too aggressive and too patient. You know, you can go up there in spring training. I tell guys, if you want to hit 300 in spring training, swing at the first pitch, because a lot of these guys are trying to impress their managers, get ahead. Unless there's men on base, they're coming right after you. It's a fine line, like I said. It's one of those things where you don't want to do that every time up. You want to see a number of pitches, but then again, if you get to face some guys like today, Dave Bush, guys I know and have faced a bunch of times, you kind of can game plan a little bit better.
Now, as far as the irregular heartbeat, it's something you had dealt with for a while. I'm sure there's a lot of peace of mind that you've had the procedure done as Ronnie Cedeno grounds out to second base. I mean, I'm assuming you feel fine. Is the leg okay where they went in? I know there was some bruising there. And is there any change in lifestyle that you'll have to do from here on out?
Yeah, there is a change for at least a month. There's no caffeine, no coffee, no liquor, no Cokes, stuff like that. Definitely have to watch myself in that regard for at least the first month after the surgery, just to let everything settle and let the leg heal. But all in all, like you said, peace of mind for me, it's been huge. I've dealt with this for a long time, never to the degree I dealt with it that day in at Fitch Park. It's just one of those things that scared. It scared not only me, it scared my teammates, and I was hoping it wouldn't get to that point, but it did, and I'm glad the Cubs thought highly enough of me to go ahead and get the surgery done right now and get it out of the way.
Well, Mark, spending a little time on the sidelines, kind of watching your teammates go about their business, as let's call you an innocent bystander, how do you assess the spring so far in the ball club as we move forward?
Well, you'd like to win more games. There's no question about that, but all in all, I think our starting pitching has been phenomenal, and Kosuke Fukudome has been a nice addition, obviously, and he's getting a feel for what this game's about and how he's going to get pitched, and he's handled himself well. You know, some guys get off to hot starts in spring, and some get off to cold ones. Derek Lee last year was smoking the ball, and this year he finds himself in a little bit of a funk. It's no big deal you know, once the season starts and once we're at Wrigley Field with 40,000 in the stands, you know, adrenaline has a way of taking over.
How about the reaction to you at the convention? You might have been the most popular guy there. That had to mean a lot to you, considering the first year you had with the Cubs.
It really did. You know, I love playing in Chicago. I love playing at Wrigley Field, and for these fans, they appreciate guys who get after it, who bring passion to the game. Hopefully they see that in the way I play, and hopefully I'm here for a long time.
Mark, thanks for the time, and great to have you back in action.
All right, thanks, guys. Good to be back.
You hear car, and what comes to mind? Okay, that's not car. And it's not 2 tons of metal, glass, and rubber. Car is the reason you got your license in the first place. The way you felt about your first car. And unlike other vehicles, car is all about you. And car is what makes a Pontiac, like the first ever Pontiac G8 GT, the most powerful car under 30 grand.
Yeah, I'm wired into a great career. I tried many different jobs after high school, and none of them seemed to be working for me. Until a friend told me about the Quad City Electrical Training Center. I applied, got into the apprenticeship, and I love it. I get paid to do new stuff every day. There are so many career choices with this training and so much opportunity.
No college tuition to pay back, $60,000 to $70,000 a year plus benefits. What's not to like?
We've got all the equipment right here that we'll be dealing with in the field. We learn in real life situations.
Get wired.
Save big money during the kitchen and bath sale at Menards. Start with a new shower from Max. Choose this 38-inch model with a high gloss finish for $379. The Neo Angle Tigris model features a clear glass door with chrome hardware, $549. All Delta faucets are on sale. Update your bathroom with this two-handle chrome Patriot model, $59. This Yorkshire model with chrome finish is $89. Plus, there are 0 payments and no interest till 2009 with your big card.
Save big money at Menards.
You're watching the home of the Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, and White Sox, Comcast Sportsnet.
Plan your next corporate function or family gathering in the comfort of the Wrigley Field Mezzanine Suites presented by Nuveen Investments. Suites are available now for games during the season. Be sure to ask about our April discount dates and on-field opportunities. To book your suite or for more information, visit Cubs.com/suites or call 773-404-Cubs. Right-hander Kevin Hart will be the 6th Cubs pitcher in this ball game. Paid crowd here today, 8,005. It's been a busy day. Just need a little rest. Biggest crowd so far for Milwaukee here at Maryvale. And Gabe Kapler will dig in. Good to see Cubs chairman Crane Kenny over the weekend as well. And we hope to talk to Crane on the air at some point later this spring. A lot of things going on in and around Wrigley Field and regarding the ball club. So we'll get an update from Crane later on this month. Really looking forward to the Ernie Banks statue, which will be unveiled on opening day. The new playing surface.
Yeah, that's what I'm anxious to see. Down on the field, where were we yesterday? Over in Surprise, and beautiful facility over there in Surprise for the Kansas City Royals and the Texas Rangers. And I asked somebody, what does the new field look like? And they turned and looked at the infield over there and says it looks a lot like this. Be a great change for the players and also for the fans.
Toward the alley for Kapler. Cedeno on the move. Well, the sidelines will be much better from the dugouts. There will be 3 extra feet of warning track.
I think that's a good move considering the bricks underneath the ivy out there. You want to give that outfielder as much warning as possible before he crashes into it. You know, and if you've never played baseball on a drastically crowned field, it's kind of hard to describe how it changes the game. Not only the sight lines for the guys in the dugouts, even running the bases. I know when we would have our advance meeting in the past when we played against the Cubs at Wrigley Field, we warned our base runners about rounding the bag at first, because if you take too wide of a turn, you end up initially running downhill and then running back uphill to get to first base. When you round third base trying to score on a base hit, you hit the bag and immediately go into foul territory, and it almost feels like you're running down a hill. You can very quickly lose your balance, stumble and fall, and rather than score a run, you end up laying on the ground, getting tagged out, and being very embarrassed.
Prince Fielder grounds to second. And Andres Blanco has a short toss over to Hoffpower.
1 for 5 on the day for Fielder. Maybe I want to mix in a hamburger tonight.
You know, he said he did not become a vegetarian to lose weight or anything like that, but had, I guess, read a book about how meat is gathered and processed, and just decided at that point he doesn't want to do it anymore. So we'll just leave it at that.
That's good enough.
Gross is playing right. Regarding the warning track, it'll now be 20 feet. And that's what most other ballparks have. That'll help the outfielders for sure. Hopefully Alfonso Soriano, who had some trouble going back on ball. 6-3 Brewers.
People think life in California is one big vacation, but it's really a lot of work.
We have board meetings. Lots of board meetings.
We're always playing catch up. We're really just a bunch of pencil pushers.
We burn the midnight oil.
Hey, it's a dirty job.
Someone's got to do it.
So if California seems like your kind of work,
when can you start?
Find yourself in California. Fly Southwest Airlines Internet specials from Chicago Midway to select cities in California for just $99.
You are now free to move about the country.
Buffalo Wild Wings. You have to be here.
Cup holders, researchers say, is one of the top reasons women buy one car over another. Not horsepower, not available features like an 8-inch nap screen or black leather trim. Nope, cup holders. Maybe those researchers need a little quality time with a different kind of woman.
We've hit the ninth with the Cubs trailing the Brewers 6-3 as we check in on the Nissan drive of the game. Looked good for the Cubs, Bob, early on at the top of the first. And they scored 3 times. This was Aramis Ramirez in the 6th with a double off Manny Parra. The only hit Parra gave up in his 4 innings is he's also trying to battle for a rotation spot. Our Nissan drive of the game.
Yeah, it's really been all about the Brewers pitching after that first inning today. Dave Bush had a little trouble settling in on the mound, gave up 3 runs to the first 4 batters he faced, but Dave Bush as well as Manny Parra really settled in and stifled the Cubs bats for the rest of the afternoon.
Michael Hoffpower drives it to center. Gwynn back on it over his head. One hops the barrier. Off Brian Schaus. Michael Hoffpower continues where he left off yesterday. Hoffpower was a home run shy of the cycle in Surprise.
Middle in, little tailing fastball right back into the barrel of his bat. Boy, Micah Hoffpower has really made a nice showing for himself down here in spring training. Put himself on the radar with Lou and his staff. If they need to reach for a left-handed bat that can provide a little thump off the bench, maybe a temporary starter at first base, I think they found their man.
A strike on Casey McGee. Sends it toward right. It passed the diving Joe Dillon. Hoffpower holding up, not taking any chances with his team down 3, and a tying run's going to come up.
A nice approach by Casey McGee, just trying to do the right thing, playing the game fundamentally sound. Just hit that ball to the right side, move the runner to third base. Finds that hole on the right side of the infield. It trickles through for a base hit. I've said it so many times. You try to do the right thing, usually good things will happen. Josh Kroger's been the Iron Man today, the only starter still on the field for the Cubs.
Six, 4, 3. So he does not get an RBI as Hoffpower scores the 4th run, bringing the Cubs to within a pair.
Taylor made double play ball, quick feed to second base. Dillon on to first. No slide at second base by Casey McGee. He couldn't even get there quickly enough to disrupt that play.
So the base is cleared, and Andres Blanco Bounces to Escobar, and that's it. So Schaus gives up a couple of hits to start the inning, allowed 1 run, but he'll end up with the save as the Brewers beat the Cubs today, 6-4 the final, dropping the Cubs to 5-8 in the spring. Milwaukee now 9-4, but when they meet up on March 31st, they'll both be 0-0. Rich Hill struggled today, Bob, but not everything was hit that hard. Command issues as he walked a couple. Tim Leahy looked pretty good, and the number one thing is Mark DeRosa's back.
Yeah, Mark DeRosa's back and fully participating. I'm sure he will round into shape quickly at the bat. And, you know, for Rich Hill, it's just a matter of command. Usually for a pitcher, that's the last thing that he gets back is the ability to throw the pitches where he wants. He left a lot of balls over the heart of the plate today, and the Brewers made him pay.
So our next spring training broadcast of Cubs baseball will be next Tuesday. That's a week from tomorrow, March 18th versus Kansas City at 3 o'clock Central Time. Once again, our final score, Milwaukee 6, the Cubs 4. And now for Bob Brenly and our entire Comcast Sportsnet crew, this is Len Casper saying goodbye from Maryvale Baseball Park. Stay tuned. David Kaplan hosts Chicago Tribune Live coming up next on Comcast Sportsnet.
Now is the time. Here is the place. And this is the word. Every Chevy car, pickup, and SUV is backed by the 100,000-mile, 5-year transferable powertrain warranty. Well-qualified buyers get 2.9% APR financing for 60 months plus $1,000 bonus cash on select Chevy vehicles. Shop Chevy now. Log on now to ChevyDriveChicago.com. Check us out today.
The march to the madness snaps into focus. The Pacific Life Pac-10 Men's Tournament.
Oh, what a play!
3 days of exclusive coverage all the way through the semifinals as all 10 teams try to punch their ticket to the big dance.
Oh, my goodness!
The Pacific Life Pac-10 Men's Tournament begins Wednesday on Comcast Sportsnet.
For over 20 years, Discover Wisconsin has been bringing you the sights, sounds, and personality of our great state. Whether it's relaxing in a spa, enjoying an amazing event, or simply taking in the scenery, you can find it here every week. Visit discoverwisconsin.com to learn even more or to register to win a Wisconsin getaway. Like a dream weekend to the Kickapoo Valley. Make sure to tune in this weekend for another exciting destination. Discover Wisconsin this Saturday morning at 10 o'clock right here on...
Yeah, I'm wired into a great career. I tried many different jobs after high school, and none of them seemed to be working for me. Until a friend told me about the Quad City Electrical Training Center. I applied, got into the apprenticeship, and I love it. I get paid to do new stuff every day. There are so many career choices with this training and so much opportunity.
No college tuition to pay back, $60,000 to $70,000 a year plus benefits. What's not to like?
We've got all the equipment right here that we'll be dealing with in the field. We learn in real-life situations.
Get wired.
What would you pay?
What would you pay to have me want to play outside?
To work and play at the same time.
What would you pay?
To have your dad eat your dust.
To take control.
For better stories to tell on Monday morning.
What would you pay for the quality, reliability, and value of a Honda? Right now, you'll pay less with low financing and other great deals at the Good to Go sales event. Now at your Honda dealer.
Hawkeye Motor works, so you can play right on.
Today on Chicago Tribune Live, as if the Bulls needed another wake-up call, Chris Duhon misses one. And now this.
Chris's position is, it's not what it was before the deal.
John Paxson hands Duhon even more punishment. We'll have the latest.
That's going to score two. A fair ball for Ramirez. Terrio, Fukudome. And Ramirez will be safe. Barely got in.
A quick start for the Cubs, and the start for Mark DeRosa. The Cubs' second baseman makes his spring debut.
Now Robert Nielsen back to Cogliano scores!
It wasn't a win, so why are the Hawks fine with yesterday's overtime loss to Edmonton?
4-on-1. What a great job.
And we'll talk college hoops, and the NCAA tournament with the one and only Dick Vitale. We're living on a prayer today on Chicago Tribune Live. Hey everybody, welcome to Chicago Tribune Live, presented by our Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers. I'm Chuck Garfine, in today for David Kaplan. Much to get to. Let's get started. From the Tribune, a man who needs no wake-up call, David Haugh. Also from the Trib, another football guy. Like the goatee there, Dan Pompey.
Thank you very much.
And he was here for the Friday broadcast. If you missed it, we'll talk about the diva and her appearance on the show later in the show. And on the man on the Notre Dame beat, it is Brian Hamilton. Today in Arizona, the Cubs took on the Brewers here on Comcast Sportsnet. It was the first start of the spring for Rich Hill and the first game for Mark DeRosa, who had missed the last week and a half with an irregular heartbeat. Let's show you the highlights. Top of the first inning, 2 men on for Aramis Ramirez. There's a shot down the right field line, 2-run score. Ramirez with 2 doubles today. The Cubs led 2-0. Meanwhile, Rich Hill, he had his problems. Bottom of the second, game tied at 3. Gabe Kapler, welcome back. You guys get that at all or no?
Welcome back.
Okay. Okay. I'm not saying it was a good line by me. An RBI double to give the Milwaukee the lead. Hill goes 2 2/3, 8 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks. And the Brewers win. Your final score 6-4. So you're looking at the starters in this situation that they're under. 7 starters trying to get 5 spots. How do you see this whole thing shaking out? Who's going to be the odd men out, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, Rich Hill's in. He's definitely a lock. But I think today's a good reminder that, you know, everyone is assuming that he is your third. I mean, he'd be 4th in the rotation, but he's your number 3 starter in terms of, you know, quality. It's assumed. But I think that he's prone to outings like today. I think that, you know, last year you look at his record, you look at his sort of unevenness, and I know that he has the stuff, and I know that he has the potential, but it's putting it all together consistently. So I don't know that he's, you know, going to be this 15. I think Dempster could be more consistent when it's all said and done than Rich Hill. And I still think you have the 4 guys, and then your 5th spot. Lieber had a nice outing over the weekend. And I think either Marshall or Marquis or both will probably be dealt before opening day.
Yeah, I mean, you saw, I don't watch too many baseball games in the summer, but every time I seem to watch Rich Hill, he imploded at some point in the game. Like he was cruising along, make one mistake, ball's out of the yard, and everything falls apart.
But he had a good year last year. I mean, he really was a breakout year for him.
I mean, like Dave was talking about, I mean, that the inconsistency, though, you really can't, you can't, I guess, rely on him as much as you would like to, or at least you hope that he would get past the mental.
Well, can you rely on Jason Marquis?
He had a breakthrough year. I don't know about a breakout year. I mean, you look at his numbers. I'm not sure how much above 500 he was, but that's what the standard is anymore for your number 3, number 4 starters. If their ERA is under 5 and they're around 500, it's okay. You're ready to congratulate him on arriving. But I'm not sure that
he was 11-8, I believe. His ERA was in the 3s, 4s. I mean, I would call it a breakout year. I mean, especially in the start of the season. I think he faded towards the end. Here's what's interesting. The Boston Globe is reporting today that the Red Sox are not interested in Jason Marquis. There was a question about whether the Cubs would be able to get Coco Crisp for him, but trying to trade Jason Marquis on that salary is going to be tough, I think, for the Cubs.
Yeah, I don't think Jason Marquis is going to have a lot of value in a trade. Their best bet probably is going to be to keep him and to start him. Now, whether or not he is better than John Lieber or Sean Marshall or whoever it is he's going to be competing against for that 5th spot, we don't know yet. I guess there's still a lot of time in spring training to make that determination, but obviously it's good to have competition. It brings out the best in these guys, and I think they should get a good 5th starter out of that group because they all have talent. Some of them have had a lot of success in the past, and I think they're all capable.
They can still make that deal too. I mean, you know,
the Roberts deal, or are you talking about the Crisp deal?
I'm talking about Coco Crisp, and I think because, you know, if Sean Marshall is the guy, Boston, depending on the outcome of Josh Beckett's, you know, back spasms which cropped up over the weekend, you know, you don't know how desperate they're going to be for a 5th starter, a 4th starter because of Kurt Schilling's uncertainty, and you know, Bartolo Colon is there, and he's not a given either. So I think as spring training progresses, we're only at March 10th. So I don't know. Jason Marquis is a guy that obviously if you keep him, you want to start him, but he's also probably the most flexible of the guys that are competing for a 5th spot to bring out of the bullpen because he has done a little bit. You don't want to bring John Lieber out of the bullpen. You're not going to do that with Sean Marshall. Marquis might be your only guy.
Well, why wouldn't you want to do it with Lieber? Or, you know, I know he's never done it.
I just think because he never has, and he's almost like.
Sometimes guys make a late career transition to the bullpen. They end up. I mean, Kerry Wood is.
Lieber's been around so long. I mean, if he wants to stay in the majors, I think he probably has to be a little more flexible, huh?
Absolutely. I mean, look at Dennis Eckersley. You know, it happens. So.
So John Lieber's going to be the next Dennis Eckersley. Is that what you're saying? Dan Pompei, sit it right here, right now. We got to move to this story. I don't really know how to say it. Felix PA is going to miss 3 to 5 games with 3 to 5 days with. I'm just going to say it. Testicular torsion. He's out 3 to 5 days. It's a personal issue, personal problem. You guys aren't helping me here, are you?
Men everywhere are squirming in their seats as we speak. Yes. Go ahead. Keep going.
No comment. All right. We had to get the news out there. He's going to miss 3 to 5 days. We'll move on to Mark DeRosa. He's got an irregular heartbeat, but he was back there today. You know, you gotta feel for this guy. He obviously wants to be out there and playing, and it's good to see him back out there.
Yeah, I mean, this has been a tough spring for Lou Piniella. He's talked about all the, you know, he hasn't had everybody together. You have DeRosa, you have PA's unfortunate injury, which is uncomfortable to hear about, to I'm sure for him and to write about, to read about, whatever. And you know, this is just, you know, when DeRosa played today, he gave you the impression he's going to be okay. You know, he's going to be back to being that guy. Although it does. It gives you pause because it was a very serious thing. It was minor surgery, but it involved the heart, and it just, you know, it was good to see him out there. And you hope that he can return to the type of guy he was before. All indications are that he will.
And let's not lose the point. The Cubs really need this guy. I mean, I think that's something that maybe has been forgotten a little bit in his condition, and also the fact that they're going to get Brian Roberts. They don't have Brian Roberts right now. DeRosa is their best hope, obviously, at second base, and I think they need him to hit, they need him to play defense, they need him to be a leader really in the middle infield, and I think without him having a good year, the Cubs really are going to be not in good condition.
No, well, my favorite player right now on the team is Darrell Ward. The guy's batting, I believe, 1,000. No, he's batting .692. He went 4 for 4 yesterday. This guy needs to play more, but in
where are you going to play him?
Exactly. He belongs on an American League team as a DH or something like that. I mean,
he hit last year too. He hit last year too. He's a good player, and I think I would like to see him get more at bats. You know, you look at that outfield, and I'm not so sure there isn't a way for that guy to get out there and get maybe 200 at bats this year between first base and the outfield. I think he's got to play more.
I just don't see where I mean, in the outfield, I mean, you've seen committed to guys pretty much all over the place. You got a guy you're pretty committed to at first base too. I mean, Darrell Ward always seems to me like the consummate guy who's just stuck in the middle of nowhere.
You've got a guy in right. Fukudome is going to play 150 games. You've got Derek Lee is going to play 150 games. You know, Darrell Ward's going to get at bats in pinch hitting situations or injuries, unless you have some flexibility built in with Fukudome if he can play center.
Right.
Now that was talked about before he got here. He hasn't done that. You know, he's good enough defensively where you might look at some of those, especially if they don't have a center field answer. And, you know, that's, you know, talk about PA and injury aside, that's the one thing that's sort of baffling about this and sort of disappointing for Cub fans of this spring training. Lou Piniella still is not sold on this guy. He's having a good spring. He's got 2 homers. He's hitting about .321. Now he has the injury. He's going to have a little bit of a setback to come back from. But they're still looking to get a veteran to provide stability. They still don't trust him. No. And this is a guy we've been hearing about for 2 springs in a row now, maybe longer. He's becoming Corey Patterson because he's more on potential than production.
Could they be saying this to motivate him? No?
I don't know.
I don't think that's the case. I think they're saying it because he doesn't know the strike zone yet. And we see that consistently. We've seen it ever since the guy's been taking at bats in the major leagues. He goes after bad pitches, doesn't take enough balls, and he ends up in bad situations. His on-base percentage is not high enough. I think if you're a center fielder and you're supposed to be a speed guy and you're supposed to be setting the table, those things are critical. So PA's got some work to do. He's not there yet.
Motivation enough should be the fact that Lou was out here talking, I think, on this show, saying the one position that he had question marks going on was center field. That was it. That was the end of the list. When they came into spring training, that was the only thing. And with PA, I mean, not to harp on the guy for his personal issue, but it seems like it's always something. I don't know. It's always something holding him back, always something that it's just not quite there with him. The question is how long you can wait. I mean, and then again, what can you do about it if it's not him?
Just so viewers know, we had a very lively discussion about Felix PA off the air. It's one of those maybe off the air kind of discussions you have about Felix PA's situation. But we're all making light of it. But he's going to be fine 3 to 5 days. Concerned about Alfonso Soriano's quad. He's still
that's where I think that's the guy. There's always something.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's where Ward's at bats come, right? Left field, right there.
That could be. That could be.
The chances of him playing 100 and however many games.
And the way he wants to play, I mean, I don't think he's gonna be able to do that. To go all out, those 40 stolen bases, I think that's not going to happen as long as he's got this quad issue, right?
Well, it seems like he is fragile. He's got a lot of, always got a lot of issues, and is not 100% reliable as much as some of the other guys in the lineup are.
And you talk about Ward and you talk about depth, and Matt Merton's having a pretty good spring. He's a guy that has been rumored in a lot of deals. They have some pretty good outfield depth. Yeah. Now they have to find a way to use that if they want to upgrade at certain positions like center field. Or in the bullpen, or wherever they can get someone in return.
Moral of the story, there's a lot going on off the field trying to decide how this whole lineup is. But I think this year, more than any other year, the Cubs seem to have so much going on with who's going to be here, who's going to be there. Is this trade going to happen? Is that trade going to happen? Basically, the closer, the rotation, there's a lot of questions, not more questions than we ever normally have.
But I think they're being more aggressive because the expectations are higher. Again, they're like 2004 again because, you're talking about 7 guys for 5 spots in a pitching rotation. The White Sox would kill for that, okay?
Everyone
the White Sox
would kill
for 7 guys qualified to start in your rotation. You're talking about the Cubs, and we're scrutinizing this because they have a chance to be the best team in the National League.
You know what, though? I think the expectations are too high. And the reason I think that is because what we're talking about. They have all these issues, all these question marks. Who goes here? Who goes where? How's this going to work? We don't know. There's a lot of question marks, and when you have question marks, you should not have high expectations. You should have tempered expectations.
Well, if there's one lesson to be learned from today, it's never rely on the hotel wake-up call. Chris Duhon says he didn't get his on Sunday, and today his punishment increased. We'll have the details next.
Sports news the way you want it, when you want it. The Chicago Tribune. What's in it for you? Call 1-800-TRIBUNE to subscribe.
This is one I want. Cars.com had me prepared before I came in. I used my cell phone to get the car listings and pricing info.
Smart.
Yeah, otherwise I was going to have to go with Plan B.
What's Plan B?
Oh, I was going to have you fight Glondor in a Stone Circle death match. You should definitely step outside the circle just to avoid any confusion.
Find Cars.com through ChicagoTribune.com, your local car connection.
Hi everybody, Harry Carey here to introduce Advanced TV from AT&T, the newest choice for your television in Chicago. Advanced TV's 100% all digital, DVR included. Nobody knows where DVR comes from. It kind of just shows up like meteorites or government cheese.
Now with DVR included and $50 cash back.
DVR spelled backwards is rude.
The Sox sweep the Tigers. They swept Cleveland, they swept Baltimore, and now they sweep the Tigers in this 4-game set. And what a job, a 4-hit shutout. That is the third.
Here's to waking up Thursday and thinking it's Friday.
Brighten up your morning with 2 Egg McMuffin sandwiches, 2 Sausage McMuffin with egg sandwiches, or 1 of each for just $3. It's Wednesday, dude.
Our ChicagoSports.com poll question of the day, it is this: how many games will the White Sox win this season? Your choices are A, fewer than 80, another down year; B, between 80 and 90, the Sox improve, but Detroit and Cleveland just too tough; or C, more than 90, the Sox are back in a big way. Log on to ChicagoSports.com. Let us know what you think. We'll have the results later in the show. So, did you happen to catch that Duke North Carolina game on Saturday? Chris Duhon did, and he's now paying the price for it. Duhon, there to watch his alma mater, took a chartered flight to Detroit after the game, but missed the Bulls' morning shoot-around and was suspended for Sunday's game. So here's what Duhon told the Sun-Times yesterday, quote, "I haven't been playing the last 6 or 7 games. I don't plan to even be in the rotation. Usually I don't play anyway, so it doesn't have that much of an effect on me. It wasn't my fault. I didn't get my wake-up call." All right, we're going to talk a lot about that quote in a little bit, but today Duhan met with General Manager John Paxson, and after reading the comment from Duhan that he doesn't play anyway, Pax decided to increase the punishment, fining Duhan a second time. Here was Paxson this afternoon.
I know Chris regrets saying that. It was obviously frustration and trying to protect himself. Doesn't excuse it. We all, you have to live with what comes out of your mouth. You definitely have to do that. And but I do think he gets it. To me, it's born out of the frustration of losing, the fact that in our backcourt we don't have a lot of minutes, and there's somebody who's going to be left out of it. And Chris right now, when Tabo gets healthy, and we're hoping he's back tomorrow night, Chris unfortunately is the odd man out in this situation.
Your thoughts, guys, on what you are seeing from Chris Duhan? I think he's a great guy, and this is really out of character what we're seeing. But then again, he's frustrated, and he's in a contract here, and he's seen his career going this way. He wants to, he's rebelling in his own way, I guess.
I sort of didn't have a problem with him being an adult and attempting to go see the game and come back. I mean, you run certain risks in that situation, but you are an adult, and frankly, he's right. He's not playing. He's probably, as long as he makes the shoot around, I don't know how mentally committed he has to be since he's not in the rotation. The last part of the quote, I mean, where the frustration really seeps in, sort of the blasé, not caring attitude, I mean, that's just emblematic of his team. And I think that's what, more than anything, I think that's what Paxson needs to do, just nip in the bud right there. I mean, you're sort of like trying to plug all the holes in the dam at this point.
The slogan of this year, I think, is "Love it live." It should be "It's not my fault," because there's been a lack of accountability for everybody up and down this lineup the whole season.
What happened with Duhan really is a reflection of what's going on with the whole team. I think, you had this situation the other day where Aaron Gray comes off the court after being pulled after a couple of minutes and starts questioning coaches.
If Aaron Gray is
preposterous. Preposterous. And then you've got, the situation with Tyrus Thomas. You've got, there are a number of these issues throughout the course of the season, and I think it's a bad reflection on the makeup of the team, the character of the team. And it's also not a good sign for Jim Boylan. If I were John Paxson, all these things were going on under my head coach's watch. He was an interim head coach. I'd say, well, something's not working right. I'm not saying that Boylan is responsible for these things, but I would say that I don't think it's going to help his chances of being back here next year.
I think Paxson could have gone even further. I mean, he suspended Joakim Noah for 2 games when he had the incident. He suspended Tyrus Thomas for 2 games when he skipped practice. Chris Duhan is a veteran. He's not even a young player like those two. He knows better. He also knew the situation, he could have been needed against Detroit in a big game. If they have any playoff hopes, you do have to rely on the guys at the end of the bench. He is a team member. He's an adult and he can do whatever he wants in his free time, but within reason. They had a game Friday night in Boston. They were playing on Sunday in Detroit. That's a pretty tough back-to-back Eastern Conference schedule. In between, if he wants to go to Carolina, fine, but make sure that you get to where you need to be. And then when you do, and if you do make a mistake and you miss the shoot-around, don't make it an excuse that nobody buys and blame it on the wake-up call. You know what? Every hotel room I know in the state of Michigan, that I've ever been in,
for that call.
They have an alarm clock too.
Yes.
Okay. The alarm clock is your backup. Set it. Okay. It's easy to set. It'll wake you up. It's a backup plan. You have teammates. Have them call you if you think you're going to be late. No excuse. No accountability. And I think that Paxson could have gone even further.
Here's the question: How do you suspend a guy for attitude? Because
it's not attitude. It's actions. He skipped the practice.
I thought you meant suspend him based on the quote.
Well, I think he could suspend him based on the entire episode. I mean, it doesn't matter what he said, what he did. They're all related to his whole attitude. You can do whatever you want when you're general manager if you're trying to set a tone. I mean, Joakim Noah's situation, that was obviously he went after a coach, but it was a compilation, we were told, or accumulation of him having a bad attitude, him being lax in meetings, him being late and tardy. And so I think you can do whatever you want if you want to set a tone as a GM.
And does anyone have a problem with him coming out and saying, well, I'm not playing much anyway, so what difference does it make?
That's the reason why
is he still getting a paycheck? Yeah. So it doesn't matter if you're playing or not. You better get there, be there, do your responsibilities the correct way. It's appalling, really.
Where were his teammates? I mean, we don't know for sure if they did this, but don't you think one of the teammates would have called Duhan and said, hey, where are you?
Well, but that's like Dan said. I mean, this whole season has been a series of the anti-Bulls that they used to be. They used to like the Bulls. Used to like the Bulls last couple of years because they played team basketball, they were coachable, they played harder than everybody else. And this year, there's been the total opposite. It's not a very likable team right now because there's a lot of me There's a lot of selfish guys, and there's a lot of guys out for their individual agendas. Yeah, somebody should have called Chris Duhon, but everybody on that team thinks about themselves. So obviously nobody thought to do that.
How could they go from a bunch of 23 and 24-year-olds to a bunch of 13 and 14-year-olds in one season? It's unbelievable. Money, you think it? Well, it started with money, probably with Duhon and Gordon, but it's just unbelievable how this could happen.
And the other thing, too, losing brings out the worst in everybody, and I think that's been a part of it, too. They don't have the rewards they're getting from they had in the past from winning. Now they're losing, they're turning on each other, they're saying it's his fault, it's not my fault, it's about me, you know.
And the older guys on the team are gone. I mean, pretty much. I mean, Joe Smith and Ben Wallace, they're not even, the veterans are gone. So, well, there's still the Larry Hughes, but these are newer guys.
But the core is there, and the core is what we, you know, in Chicago came to like and to respect. You respected the way the Bulls played. You respected the way they played together, and they shared the basketball, and it was a team.
What is the core of the Bulls anymore? That's a great question, really.
I think it's Lou Alday.
Is it Lou
That's
Alday?
the core. I think he's the only guy that's not going to be.
I don't know. He got used last night by Tayshaun Prince a couple of times. You saw a couple backdoor cuts.
I'm not saying. Stay with him. I agree with you. I don't agree with this.
He's got flaws too.
I think he does too, but I think he's the only quote-unquote untouchable on this team.
I don't think he's untouchable. I think that he might be able to bring you back the most in return. So you see how inconsistent he has been. You saw what problems you ran into in October when he was quote-unquote untouchable. You know, it kept you out of any talks for Kobe Bryant. So I think that there's nobody on that team that I wouldn't consider trading at this point.
I mean, obviously, because when you fire Scott Skiles, you shine a light on the players and you see what happened. I mean, nothing has gotten better. There has been no discernible improvement. You shine a light on what you have, and what you have is obviously not that much.
Chances of Duhon being back next year, -1%.
Zero. He's a free agent, and this not only hurts him with the Bulls, but hurts him with his future employer.
Want to check this one thing out. Do you know that if the Bulls were in the Western Conference, you know how far out they would be to make the playoffs? I mean, look at this. They'd be 14.5 games out. They'd be the 12 seed, and yet they're a game and a half out of the playoffs in the East. Do you think David Stern should be looking at this and trying to reseed the NBA playoffs?
I would love to see a 16-team or, you know, cross-pollinated tournament type thing. Why not? Get the best team out of it at the end. You might get some better matchups along the way. And does anyone want to watch any of the Eastern Conference playoffs until the finals, until it's Boston, Detroit?
I was just going to say they would get me, because right now I have no plans of watching the Eastern Conference playoffs, but if they would have reseeded in like an NCAA tournament type atmosphere or format, they got me. I'd watch in every game because I think it would be awesome.
The Bulls are playing like they're 14.5 games out of the playoffs.
Right. They are. I don't know where this is going to go. Well, stay right there. Still ahead here on the show. We'll talk college hoops with the one and only Dick Vitale. Plus, the Hawks let not just one, but 2 victories get away. Their playoff push feeling more like a pull. That and more next.
Hi everybody, Harry Carey here to introduce Advanced TV from AT&T, the newest choice for your television in Chicago. Advanced TV's 100% all digital, DVR included. Nobody knows where DVR comes from. It kind of just shows up like meteorites or government cheese.
Now with DVR included and $50 cash back.
DVR spelled backwards is rude.
I'm freezing. 212 Jackson.
Don't get burned. Call 4 Seasons Heating and Air Conditioning at 866-4Seasons. For all the right reasons, 4 Seasons.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, even if you lose your phone, we can save all your contacts.
You save them.
Mm-hmm.
You're like a hero.
Well, we know how important it is to keep in touch.
And you're modest too.
Well, you know, I'm just doing my job.
Just doing my job. That's hero talk.
Get My Contacts Backup and see why U.S. Cellular is wireless, where you matter most.
Game on. The home series has playoff implications, and only Comcast Sportsnet brings you all the action on the ice in crystal clear high definition. Wednesday night, if you can't be at the United Center, then tune into Comcast Sportsnet for a special home game telecast as Patrick Kane, Jonathan Taves, and the Blackhawks take on the Carolina Hurricanes at the United Center. It all starts Wednesday night at 7 with Chevy Blackhawks pregame live with Steve Conroy. Only on Comcast Sportsnet, fans' best friend. Land Rover Sports Night, tonight only on Comcast Sportsnet, fans' best friend.
Welcome back to Chicago Tribune Live, presented by our Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers. Chuck Garfine in today for David Kaplan. Here along with David Haw, Dan Pompey, and Brian Hamilton from the Trib. We're going to talk Hawks in a moment, but first, let's see what's coming up next on Sports Night. Pat Boyle is here with a preview. Hey, Pat.
All right, Chuck, coming up on Sports Night at 6:30, we'll have today's episode of As the Bulls Turn, as you guys just talked about in the last segment. Chris Duhon overslept yesterday, missed the shoot-around in Detroit. The team finds him again. Kerry Sayers has the latest on this soap opera from the Berto Center. Plus, Mark DeRosa is back in the Cubs lineup today, while Felix P.A. is out for a while with a rather uncomfortable injury. We'll try to gather ourselves and tell you about that, all the details from the desert. That plus the glass is half full for the Blackhawks despite losing 2 straight. Mount Carmel makes some noise on the basketball court. They try to win a state championship in another sport. That and more when Mark Shanowski joins me at 6:30. Chuck, back over to you for the stretch run.
Pat, did you ever not get a wake-up call when you're at a hotel, or have you always gotten the wake-up call?
I actually, not too at the Super Bowl, I had a confusion over the airport shuttle time and the wake-up call. And they plugged in the airport shuttle time, which was considerably later than my wake-up time.
Okay, and then did you then make an excuse and say it wasn't my fault?
I was fined a day's pay, but nowhere near what Chris Duhon is going to miss.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you. Pat, we'll see you at 6:30. Well, with the break here or there, the Hawks could have picked up 4 points over the weekend and be in a much stronger place to make the playoffs. But instead, they managed just 1 point, an overtime loss to the Oilers yesterday, leaving them 5 points out of the playoffs with 13 games remaining.
We played well this week. We knocked off some big teams. We still believe that we can win games and get that playoff spot, and we're going to continue to try and do that.
Just got to get some points now every game here now from the next couple games. You know, 4 games, 5, 6 points would be nice. Above that, anything above that, then they'll probably put us right up there again.
Let's turn now to our hockey experts. The Hawks, we've been talking about them. Are they going to make the playoffs? They make the playoffs. If they make the playoffs, actually, sorry, if the Bulls make the playoffs and they don't, this is a tragedy right there, don't you think?
I don't know about tragedy. That's a bit of. I think you're exaggerating just a little bit.
That's what I'm trying to do.
But I think the Hawks could miss the playoffs and the Bulls could make the playoffs, and still the Hawks will have had the better season.
They already have. The Hawks had a wonderful opportunity this past weekend, though, to seize some momentum, not only in the standings but also I think in the city with 2 sellout games, with the Hull and Makita ceremony on Friday night, and they failed. You know, let's face it. I mean, they played better, I think, yesterday than they did probably Friday, but they had an opportunity, and they kind of, now that they're in a bad position because of what happened this weekend, really.
Yeah, really. Hull Makita night, that was great, that was special. But for someone of my generation, I want to see a Ronik Chelios night.
Well, Chelios has to retire first.
Yeah,
I mean,
so in about 30 years.
So you got to have, and then he has to be kind of distanced from himself, from the organization. They have to exile him away, and then bring him back, and have all that emotion and all that drama.
But in a way, he has been exiled. I mean, all these guys, a lot of them have been. There's been this cold war between the Hawks alumni and the organization.
Didn't Ronik
say? It's warming up now.
Wasn't he amenable to it when he was here? He was here on Friday.
Yeah, we actually spoke.
Well, now
with
he's everything's fine now.
He spoke very glowingly and warm of his time in Chicago. Wish he had played here his entire career.
I can't believe it's been 12 years since he's been gone. I mean, it's unbelievable.
But the parallel to be drawn is the one I think Taves was the one who brought it up, is that you do have now 2 guys capable of being the next sort of duo that comes back and creates all these magic memories and is sort of revered, and you're seeing what they're doing to the city in Kane and Taves, and I think that's what the parallel is in bringing those 2 guys back. It's great to see Bobby Hall. You know, people don't remember. You just remember, snippets if you're not old enough to have been a Hawks fan back then. But it was a disappointing weekend because they lost twice, and then I think this has sort of gone under the radar here today. But Gary Bettman, who was in town last week, being asked every turn about when are you going to have an outdoor game in Chicago? Is Chicago next? Wrigley Field, Soldier Field, whatever. And he's kind of talked around it.
I think their priority, as we found out today, Yankee Stadium.
Yankee Stadium. That's why I didn't answer the question.
Yeah.
So now not only the Hawks lose twice, and now it looks like they're losing the chance to have an outdoor game next year because it'll be in New York.
Because it's all about New York.
I mean, the fact is you can't lose sight of the goal, which is just becoming relevant again, I think, this year. I mean, it'd be nice to make the playoffs. They're not going to. I mean, 5 points out with 13 to play doesn't sound like a lot, but it's a lot. The Bulls are probably the best thing that's happened to them in a long time, along with Taves and Kane. I mean, they just needed to be relevant again. They made the playoffs, great. That's wonderful. But even being in that discussion, to me, is a major step forward for the franchise, and everything else would just be gravy.
And then I want to see Al Secord, Murray Bannerman night. That'll be after that. They're going to bring them all back in some way, shape, or form. All right, back to baseball. The Sox were in Tucson today facing the Mariners. And the Sox got off to a great start against new Mariners starter Eric Bedard. Bottom of the first, 2 men on for that guy, Jim Thome, and he gets all of this one deep to center field, a 3-run homer way back there. His first home run of the spring. It's 3-0 Sox, but they weren't finished. Your very next batter, Paul Konerko. Exit stage left, a solo shot, his first home run of the spring. 4-0 Sox after one. Mark Burley gave up 3 runs on 6 hits in 4 innings of work. Onelli Perez gave up 5 runs in the 9th. The Sox added 1, though, in the bottom of the 9th, and they win the game 9-8. And I just want to congratulate Jose Contreras, maybe one of the worst hitters in Major League history. He's a pitcher. What do you expect? He had been 0 for 19 in his career, and yesterday, at the plate, look at that. Look at that. Base hit. This might be his first hit ever in the major leagues. And
nice looking swing, too.
Very smooth.
Maybe they should think about pinch hitting him once in a while.
Looks good for a 56-year-old right there.
He pitched pretty good yesterday, too.
Yeah, he's looking pretty good. Everyone seems to think, look at and Ozzie Guillen and Kenny Williams have said it themselves, that the key to this rotation, maybe the key to this team in some way, is how well Contreras bounces back after losing 17 times last year. Are you guys sold on Jose Contreras?
I think that's wishful thinking, because even if he bounces back and is serviceable as your third starter or your second starter, I mean, you still, you can't write off the 4th and 5th spots in the rotation, and I think that we're assuming a ton when you're expecting John Danks and Gavin Floyd. I think that's the assumption that the Sox are basing a lot on this season, and Kenny Williams coming out today in the papers and saying, they may not be able to move Joe Creedy after all. They may have to open the season with Josh Fields and Creedy on the roster.
I don't think that would happen, actually. I think they'd send Fields down.
Well, okay, that's a bad solution, because you need pitching. If you're not getting the deal you want, maybe that's just leverage. Maybe it's Kenny Williams.
Don't you think that's just kind of talking in terms of setting yourself up to make the trade, so people don't think the White Sox are desperate? They don't want to put themselves in a position where other GMs are sitting there saying, well, I know they're going to give up Creedy, so we'll offer them nothing, and they'll still give him to us.
Personally, I don't think there's anything wrong with having Fields down in AAA, in my opinion.
Why?
Because
he's ready to play.
He's ready to go.
So if Joe Creedy's ready to go, you'd have the best left side of the infield of any team in Major League Baseball with him and Orlando Cabrera.
Joe Creedy coming off back surgery is a better option than Josh Fields on his way up. A guy who's going to be part of your franchise for the next 5 to 10 years, rather than Joe Creedy, who's going to be, in essence, a rental player coming off an injury, going to walk away without any compensation.
But if you're not going to get anything for Joe Creedy, why not keep Joe Creedy on your team? And if he does get hurt, you've got insurance, you got Josh Fields to go with.
The only
from the
way
minors.
that makes sense to me, Chuck, is if you come to the determination that you're going to trade Fields instead of Creedy.
Yeah.
And then
you
say,
can't do that. You can't do that because Creedy's going to be. They may not re-sign him. So they're not going to.
Then he's doing nothing but getting in the way.
He's getting in the way.
Then he's better off. You're better off cutting him, really. I mean, because you need to move on, turn the page, and get Fields out there if he's going to be your third baseman of the future and if he's ready to play.
If Joe Creedy comes back, and obviously he's having a tough spring so far, but it is spring. He's batting like 100. He's got 4 errors.
Hey, by all means, start him.
Oh, come on. You're done with Joe Creedy. He's had a bad 2 weeks. Let's get rid of him.
So when do you get rid of him? Do you have to just, are you on the eve of the season, you take
Be patient. Wait until the trading deadline. Wait for the season to start. Someone's going to need a third baseman at some point. I see nothing wrong with starting the season with both these guys in your organization, and you just wait it out.
What about starting both of them on your roster, Major League roster, and just playing Fields and having Creedy be your pinch hitter and kind of, first
work
guy
his
off the
way
bench?
into hell. I think that's probably, if they have to do it, that's probably the best. I don't think it's fair to Josh Fields to send him down to AAA when he has earned the right to stay on the big team. I think that's.
And is it fair to Joe Creedy just to trade him? Just to trade him for nothing?
It's really not fair to put Fields. It's not fair to your organization to put Fields in the minor leagues, because this is what you do. You try to develop guys like him. You select them, you draft them, you bring them up through the minors, you get them to the point where they're ready. You owe it to your organization to get that guy in the field and to play him.
If you wait one season in the grand scheme of things, how much of a difference is it going to be for Josh Fields in his career? That 1 year, if it was to come to that, one more year he spent in the minors. I'm asking the question.
That could be a lot. I mean, you could really be ruining the kid by sending him back down. You don't know what you're toying with his confidence-wise.
I don't think you'd ruin him, David.
No.
I don't think you'd do anything to the kid. But if he's ready to play, you got to play.
Well, here's
him.
what I think about Creedy. You're talking about a team, they're going to score more runs this year. The problem is going to be how many runs they give up. You need the best defense you can put on the field. The best defensive third baseman you have, bar none, is Joe Creedy. You put him on the team if that's the case, in my opinion.
Well, if he can bend over, he's the best defensive third baseman.
I think he's going to be fine.
When he's able to touch his toes, he can scoop it with the best of them. I'm telling you.
All right.
You got 3 weeks to deal him.
Meanwhile, you've got our poll question. Well, Brian will bring it up. How many wins do you guys think the Sox are going to have this year? 80, 90, 70? Where do you think they're going to end up?
I'm in the 70 range myself.
In the 70s?
Just because we talked about the questions with the Cubs, questions with the Sox are even bigger, more of them, and they're more serious.
More questions with them, much better division than the Cubs. I mean, this is a 70s win ball club.
Yeah, look at their division. That's the thing. They're playing for third place before they even get started, and they're probably 75 wins.
Yeah. And they start at Cleveland, at Detroit. The weather's going to be terrible, but just they're going to know right off the bat where they stand with those teams. That's for sure. Coming up, we're going to talk college basketball with the legendary Dick Vitale. Who does he predict to win the NCAA tournament? And after getting a real big cancer scare, how does he feel going back to work, doing what he loves? We're going to speak with Dickie V next.
No matter where you want to go in Chicago, go to MetroMix.com first. From Boys Town to the Burbs, search thousands of restaurants, clubs, music, and more. Life's playlist, reshuffled. MetroMix.com.
Here's to waking up Thursday and thinking it's Friday. Brighten up your morning with 2 Egg McMuffin sandwiches, 2 Sausage McMuffin with Egg sandwiches, or 1 of each for just $3.
It's Wednesday, dude.
It's time for championship basketball on ESPN, ESPN2, and Comcast Sportsnet on Mediacom Cable. Brought to you in part by ORA. Watch as teams fight to the finish for their respective spots in the Big Dance later this month. Watch the Big Ten, Missouri Valley, Big 12, ACC, and more on ESPN, ESPN2, and Comcast. Brought to you in part by ORA and Mediacom.
There's no limit to the career opportunities with an apprenticeship program through the Quad City Electrical Training Center. From jobs that take you outside to desk jobs and owning your own business. You choose your future when you get wired.
I've done a little everything in my career, from working on large hospitals to media projects, even some residential wiring. Today, electricians can specialize in the type of work that they want to do.
Get wired.
It's time for championship basketball on ESPN, ESPN2, and Comcast Sports on Mediacom Cable. Brought to you in part by S.J. Smith Company. Watch as teams fight to the finish for their respective spots in the Big Dance later this month. Watch the Big Ten, Missouri Valley, Big 12, ACC, and more on ESPN, ESPN2, and Comcast. Brought to you in part by S.J. Smith Company and Mediacom.
Can You Believe That is brought to you by your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers.
Can you believe that? NHL yesterday, the Pens and Capitals tied at 2 late in the third. There's a battle for the puck in front of the Washington net, and the Pens come away with the goal and the lead. But taking our look on the left-hand side, Washington's Nicholas Backstrom backhands the goal into his own net. Caps lose 4-2. All right, it's time to talk college basketball, and there is no one greater to talk to on this planet than Dick Vitale, who joins us. Dick, thanks for being here with us.
Well, Chuck, great being on with you. Hey, what about the White Sox this year? Going to be any better? I know the Cubs are.
We're hoping for the White Sox and Cubs to make it to the World Series. The chances are very slim, but we'll see. Let's talk about you.
I got a better chance of growing hair than that happening.
Yes, you're probably right about that. I want to start with this. With you, you had throat surgery just a few months ago, and you couldn't talk for 3.5 weeks. It is so great to have you back because college basketball is not the same without you.
Well, I appreciate those kind words because, you know, it was really a scary time. On December 5th, I really thought my career was all over. I will never forget when that doctor echoed the words that the growths on my vocal cords were possibly cancerous. I was really, you know, scared. And for 2 weeks, the fear of the unknown, wondering what was going to happen because you have to wait. My heart goes out to any lady or any guy waiting for a biopsy to get that results because obviously it's a life-changing situation and you're not thinking about basketball, but I got a chance again to be a 12-year-old kid, to get back in the arena, to have fun, to do something I love, stealing money, talking about a game I love. I mean, it's so much fun.
You called the Duke, North Carolina game over the weekend. The Tar Heels have not lost a game on the road all year. How good are they?
Well, you know, they're my choice to win it all, and I think you just said it really well. The fact that you could play an entire season and win every game away from home is very unique. You know, a lot of teams dominate their home floor, but they can't win away from their building. Tyler Hansbrough's my choice for the Player of the Year this year, though the best talent in America is Michael Beasley. I love the guard play. When you look at Lawson and now Thomas and Ellington, Green off the bench, they're starting to defend a lot better. So my choice to win it all would be North Carolina.
All right, next week we're going to be filling out our brackets. Give us one sleeper to pick to go deep that no one's really going to be thinking of.
Well, I'll tell you a team to watch. I think there'll be a lot of mid-major teams that are going to be very dangerous and prove they can play with the big guys. Keep an eye on Davidson. They got a great backcourt with Richards and Curry. I mean, Stephon Curry can flat out shoot it. His father was Del Curry. They've won like 20 in a row. They played early this season and lost to the UCLAs, the Dukes, and Carolinas, but played those schools very, very tough. So I think that Davidson could really shock some people.
We got about a minute left. I want to bring up, you're the voice of the EA Sports March Madness 2008 game. Are you even good at video games? Do you play them?
I'm going to tell you this game is special. EA Sports is the best at what they do, and I'm telling you, March Madness 08 is phenomenal. It replicates what a live basketball arena is, how the enthusiasm, the spirit. So my friends, this game is fantastic.
All right, I want to go back to one thing because you were at the Duke, North Carolina game. You called the game. Chris Duhon was there. What's going on with the Bulls? You know a lot of these guys. Why are they struggling so much?
Wow, I thought they were going to have really an outstanding year this year. So many good young players. They made progress last year, and then all of a sudden, I don't know, could be chemistry. It just up and down. You look at the numbers. One day this guy's performing well. The next day someone else, and they got some good young talent. I just, I don't understand. I talked to Chris a little bit after the game. He's a quality young guy. He was at the Duke game.
Yeah.
But the Bulls have been absolutely a disappointment.
All right. Well, Dickie, great to have you back in the fold and doing what you love. We love what you do and watching you every week.
Well, thanks a lot. Great being back.
Well, the window is closing. I wanted to ask him about Notre Dame. I'll ask you about Notre Dame, okay? You cover Notre Dame. How good is this team? They've got 14 wins in the Big East.
You know, we just thought, for some reason, I think they're incredibly fragile and their margin of error is very small. But the thing about them is that it seems like to win a game or be in a game, they need someone to play off the charts. They need one of their guys to have a great game. And yet, every one of their guys seems to have a great game. Herringody will have a great game. Mac Larney will bust out for like 32 points. Against Rutgers, Torrey Jackson almost had a triple-double. So in that sense, they're consistent. They're sort of like consistently living on the edge. But, I mean, they almost blew a 19-point lead against South Florida the other night. But they just find ways to get it done. That said, they're pretty much beatable any night of the week, no matter who you are.
You know, they are, but and on the other hand, they could beat almost anybody any night of the week. That's because true. They're much like the Bulls used to be. They're a perimeter-oriented team. If they get hot, they're going to be very difficult to beat. But if they're not hitting, then they are. They're going to be beatable on any given night. I mean, Mike Bray has always built his teams that way, and he's done a terrific job. You know, seeing them lose in the first round of the NCAA tournament last year and losing Russell Carter, Colin Falls, you know, the local kid. And then they retool with McElharney, and then Luke Herringode comes out of not out of nowhere, but he really took that next step, probably Big East Player of the Year. That's a great program, and he's done a great job.
We got to bring up this. I don't know if you've seen Kenny George, who plays for UNC Asheville. 7'7". He's by far the tallest player in the history of Division I basketball. Look at this guy. He's a YouTube sensation.
Chicago kid. And
from Chicago, went to the Latin school. His size of his feet is 28. Look at that. He doesn't even leave the ground, and he dunks the basketball.
Well, what you didn't see there is the dunk that Tyler Hansbrough had coming down the lane earlier this season, where 6'9", Tyler Hansbrough gets the ball at top of the key, drives in, and basically just rams it down Kenny's throat. I mean, he's monstrously big, but he's obviously slow. They changed the way they play entirely when he comes in the game.
Yeah.
He has limitations. It's just height isn't one of them.
Well, they were playing Winthrop over the weekend. I was hoping they'd make the NCAA tournament so we could watch more of him.
How do you get out of Chicago then?
Because he's just not good.
Yeah. Well, hey,
and he's got medical issues too.
You've got a guy with that kind of size. I mean, there's things you can do with it. You find, yeah. He's unusual. I mean, we just saw him. You know, he can put the ball on the floor and go to the hoop. That's what else you need to do when you're that big.
I know. 7
He
foot.
doesn't need to jump
to
get the rebound. I mean, will the guy get drafted?
He's a junior, a redshirt junior. Maybe next year. I don't know. You've seen him a little bit more than me.
I would think I would think you bring him into a camp. I mean, I think you'd be silly not to at least try and get him in there. At least put him in the NBDL and see what you have. But it's limitations. I mean, a guy like Shaq at 38 years old and hobbling down the court, and I mean, these guys will run him off the court.
If you go to YouTube, you'll find video of him going up against teams that have their tallest players like 6 feet tall. You've got like 5'10" guys trying to guard this guy. It's impossible, but it's fun to watch. Highly recommend it. But coming up, who is the starting quarterback for the Bears? Don't ask Brandon Lloyd. The Bears' new wide receiver makes headlines for a verbal blunder. Will his signing be a blunder? We'll talk football next.
No matter where you want to go in Chicago, go to MetroMix.com first. From Boys Town to the Burbs, search thousands of restaurants, clubs, music, and more. Life's playlist, reshuffled. MetroMix.com.
Here's to waking up Thursday and thinking it's Friday. Brighten up your morning with 2 Egg McMuffin sandwiches, 2 Sausage McMuffin with Egg sandwiches, or 1 of each for just $3. It's Wednesday, dude.
Want the best local sports highlights?
Got it, out in the foul. Scores! Picture perfect!
Need in-depth coverage of your team?
We want to continue to build, continue to bring it every night.
Pat Boyle and Mark Shanowski have you covered.
All of Chicago sports highlights, news, and interviews.
Everything you need to know about Chicago sports.
Sports Night with Pat Boyle and Mark Shanowski. Every weeknight at 6:30 and 10. Only on Comcast Sportsnet. A Chicago sports fan's best friend.
Where's a fan's best friend online? ComcastSportsNet.com. It's the place to read analysis from Comcast Sportsnet experts that you can't find anywhere else. Get up to the second news headlines. See the day's programming lineup. Check out talent bios and watch video clips featuring the latest info on your teams. Plus, sign up for Sports Extra and Sports Blast email alerts that make you the first to know about breaking news. Log on right now to ComcastSportsNet.com. Fans' best friend online.
Where's the best place to get caught up on everything happening at spring training? Comcast Sportsnet. Only one network brings you the most in-depth coverage of the Cubs and Sox each day from the desert. Not only will you see 16 Cactus League matchups, Chicago Tribune Live and Sports Night devote more time to everything happening with the Cubs and Sox as they prepare for the regular season. Your home for complete spring training coverage is Comcast Sportsnet. Fans' best friend.
All right, our ChicagoSports.com poll question of the day. We asked, how many games will the White Sox win this season? Survey said 49% say between 80 and 90. We got some optimists out there. 21% say more than 90. That's a lot of optimism there. Thanks for logging on. Let us know what you think. Well, Brandon Lloyd has yet to catch a pass for the Chicago Bears, but he's already made quite an impact, accidentally telling reporters that Rex Grossman was the Bears' starting quarterback. And the question is, what does he really know, if anything? This guy over here, David Ha, wrote a column about it. You said you're getting hammered for this? Are people disagreeing with what you wrote?
People disagreeing with it. I mean, I just don't understand why Brandon Lloyd is a spokesman for anything. He's been there 5 minutes. He was asked. I asked him a question. How was the Bears quarterback situation described to you? And he answered, Rex Grossman is a starter. I think he was making an assumption. I don't think that he was sharing details that Ron Turner, Lovie Smith told him, and they didn't tell him not to say anything. I think that was his assumption based on what the assumption is around the league, that Rex was a starter, he got hurt, he wasn't aware of Kyle Orton's development. I don't know that Ron Turner, even though he's known Brandon since he was 17 years old, gave him any sort of inside information that he was like leaking to the media inadvertently, and we jumped all over it, and now we have a controversy.
But I just feel they had to tell him something besides, here's where your locker's going to be.
Why? I mean, Brandon Lloyd needed a job. I don't know that he was in a position to say, if it's not, who's going to be the quarterback? Because if I don't like the answer, I think I have another better opportunity somewhere else.
But he's just trying to get information. I mean, that's what I would do if I was going for a job, even for a job interview.
Chuck, if you were the coach of the Bears and you had determined that Rex Grossman was going to be your starting quarterback, wouldn't you tell Rex Grossman that and tell your team that, so you knew that you'd be going in that direction? You'd start to prepare him the right way. You would give him the most reps with the team. They are not doing that. They are going to split the reps in the offseason. They're going to split the reps even in training camp, they're saying at this point. So, I mean, I think it's clear that they, in their minds, it's up in the air. And if anything, I think they want Kyle Orton to be the starter. If you gave them a choice, that would be my guess, because, we talked a little bit about how the White Sox owed it to Josh Fields to get him up there. I think the Bears owe it to Kyle Orton to at least give him the opportunity to see if he can be the starting quarterback for their team this year.
If Rex Grossman were going to be the starter or had won the job already, don't you think they would have told Rex Grossman before they tell Brandon Lloyd? I mean, they haven't done that, okay? Because if they had, then Rex lost the message. I mean, this isn't a situation where they're sharing secrets with this guy. And that's all I was addressing. Right. Rex has probably got the early lead, whatever. He may end up winning the job. I'm just saying that didn't happen on Friday when he was there to sign a contract.
So I'm going to change the subjects here because we're running out of time. If the Bears have the 14th pick in the draft, Rashard Mendenhall, if he's there, do they take him?
I think they should take him. I don't think he will be there, though.
You don't?
No, he had a good workout at the Combine, and I think he impressed a lot of teams. I think he's going to go in the top 10.
Wow, that's a big move.
I think it would be very difficult to pass up if he's there because of the way he's just progressed. You don't have an offensive line, that is whole necessarily, but if a guy of that quality is there at 14.
Yeah, he's pretty special, and you could get the offensive linemen, the wide receivers later in the draft. You got a chance to get a guy who's a franchise back, probably a higher rated back than Cedric Benson coming out. Even though Benson was taken with the 4th pick that year, there were not very many good players. It was a bad draft. This year it's a better draft, so Mendenhall will probably be chosen later. But I think he's going to be a higher rated player by most teams than Cedric Benson was coming out.
Is there a position that's number one for these guys in terms of priority, what they need to draft, or is it really more the best player that they can get at that point?
Well, I mean, I think offensive line, running back, wide receiver, and quarterback
in that order
are the 4 positions they're going to have to address in the first 3 rounds. They have 4 picks. I think it's offensive line, wide receiver, running back, and then maybe quarterback. But I still think that, like Dan said, I mean, if you have an opportunity to get a special running back, if you have an opportunity in the 2nd round to get a quarterback that has slipped a little bit, you really can't pass those up.
Well, we can't pass this up. Friday on the show, we had a visitor to the show. Her name is Maria. Was that her name there, Dan? Dan will always remember her name. There she is. There she was on the set.
Autographs.
Yep. She's from WWE. No, is that what WWE? She's going to be in WrestleMania. She covers Playboy Magazine. Okay. She was in Playboy Magazine, I think this month or last month, and she was on the show. Dan, you want to explain, did that change your life, to be able to be that close to a Playboy centerfold?
Well, no, just being this close to you has changed my life. So,
for the worse.
Yes. She refused to put Dave Kaplan in a headlock, however, so the visit was kind of anticlimactic.
Okay. maybe she'll come back again. I don't know. That's all the time we have for today's edition of Chicago Tribune Live, presented by Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy Dealers. Let's thank our guests, David Haw, Dan Pompey, Dick Vitale, Brian Hamilton. Sports Night's next.
Sports news the way you want it, when you want it. The Chicago Tribune. What's in it for you? Call 1-800-TRIBUNE to subscribe.
No matter where you want to go in Chicago, go to MetroMix.com first. From Boys Town to the Burbs, search thousands of restaurants, clubs, music, and more. Life's playlist, reshuffled. MetroMix.com.
Hi everybody, Harry Carey here to introduce Advanced TV from AT&T, the newest choice for your television in Chicago. Advanced TV's 100% all digital, DVR included. Nobody knows where DVR comes from. It kind of just shows up like meteorites or government cheese.
Now with DVR included and $50 cash back.
DVR spelled backwards is rived.
I'm freezing. 212 Jackson.
Don't get burned. Call Four Seasons Heating and Air Conditioning at 866-4SEASONS. For all the right reasons, Four Seasons.
Yeah, this is great.
Yeah, even if you lose your phone, we can save all your contacts.
You saved them.
Mm-hmm.
You're like a hero.
Well, we know how important it is to keep in touch.
And you're modest too.
Well, you know, I'm just doing my job.
Just doing my job. That's hero talk.
Get My Contacts Backup and see why U.S. Cellular is wireless where you matter most.
Every game in HD, coming soon to Comcast Sportsnet, fans' best friend.
Hi, I'm Duncan Keith of the Blackhawks, and you're watching Comcast Sportsnet.
Coming up on Sports Night.
I'm disappointed. I'm going to take the full responsibility of it. I expect our guys to remain professional.
The Bulls' season-long soap opera continues. Question is, could today's developments affect Chris Duhan's future with the team?
They're really looking forward to having D-Row back on the field.
Mark DeRosa making his Cactus League debut, but could he help the Cubs beat the Brew Crew? And find out which Sox slugger went yard for the first time this spring.
We got lots of hockey left.
13 games to be exact. Can that normally unlucky number help the Hawks' playoff push?
Realistically, a lot of people was in our ears telling us we couldn't do it.
The Caravan in the unfamiliar role of underdog, looking to earn a trip to Peoria. It's all on Sports Night now.
This is Sports Night, presented by Dex. Live from the Comcast Sportsnet studios in downtown Chicago.
Hello again, everyone. Welcome into Sports Night, presented by Dex. Alongside Pat Boyle, I'm Mark Shanowski. The Cubs get one starter back to Cactus League duty, but lose another to what can only be described as a very painful injury. We'll explain that in a bit.
And I'm glad you're doing that story. Speaking of painful, we begin with the Bulls. And they may be a season-high 13 games below 500, but you could argue the Bulls lead the league in apologies. Today, it was Chris Duhan's turn to justify his actions from this past weekend, and Kerry Sayers was there.
We're going to take the full responsibility of it. There's no intent of getting at my teammates or the coaching staff or the organization in any way. I just needed to get away and, get myself back together.
Chris Duhan apologized to his teammates Monday and met with GM John Paxson, who handed down a second fine for missing Sunday's shoot-around in Detroit, and addressed Duhan's comments afterward when he said of this situation, quote, "I haven't been playing a lot anyway."
That's a bothersome statement. Chris and I talked about it. He said it out of frustration. And I understand that. Like I said, when I think it's a natural human reaction to kind of try to protect yourself when you've made a mistake or something happens. And I think, at least from my perspective, that's what Chris did. But it wasn't the right thing to say. I know Chris regrets saying that. It was obviously frustration and trying to protect himself. Doesn't excuse it. We all, you have to live with what comes out of your mouth. You definitely have to do that. And but I do think he gets it.
And Paxson wanted to make sure the rest of the team gets it too, meeting with them as a whole to spell out his expectations for the remainder of the season.
There's been confusion and lack of of the ability to play together, and sometimes that's just a group not figuring out, not buying in. But we're again, we're 63 games into the year. We've got 19 left. I'm in the evaluation mode. What I've asked our guys to do is just to take their job seriously, come to work every day, play hard, practice hard, and try to win games these last 19.
You have to have discipline to make sure everybody's on the same page. So we understand that it's not going to. The only way it affects us if those guys are out on the court helping us win, but we still stick behind those guys and try to make sure that everybody gets their head straight.
I've had my issues. I think everybody's having their issues because, people are frustrated, and I think that we just have to look at it in a point where, it's not about just one person, it's about, the team.
While the Bulls have addressed the recent string of off-the-court issues and hopefully can put them to rest, plenty of damage has already been done this season, and for repeat offenders like Duhan, his future in Chicago may be in doubt.
My situation, I don't think that, that I probably won't be back. I'm just thinking, I don't know what the summer has for me.
Given how everything has gone down, that we're not going to look to make this better. But those aren't decisions for today. Those are for decisions after these last 19 games, and then if we are fortunate enough to get in the playoffs, after that time. But it's pretty obvious that we've got to look at everything we're doing, from scouting on down to how we're what we're doing in terms of personnel.
With the Bulls from the Berto Center, Carrie Sayers, Comcast Sportsnet.
Carrie, thank you. John Paxson has had more disciplinary issues this year than Miss Garcia, my daughter's preschool teacher. From James on Curry's arrest for public urination and resisting arrest to Joakim Noah's shouting match with assistant coach Ron Adams, which led to the players voting for a 2-game suspension. And then just last week, Tyrus Thomas given a 2-game timeout for skipping practice. And now Duhan paging Miss Garcia, please head to the Berto Center. So with all these disciplinary issues, has interim coach Jim Boylan lost this team? Coach responds to that question later this half hour. Meanwhile, there was actually basketball-related news today at the Berto. Thabo Sefolosha practiced for the first time since injuring his left groin. The injury has kept him out the last 6 games. Coach Boylan said he hopes Thabo can go tomorrow against the Jazz. The team will wait and see how he feels after the shoot-around tomorrow morning to see if there's any soreness. You can see tomorrow night's game against the Jazz on Comcast Sportsnet Plus, which of course CLTV in the Chicagoland area. Coverage begins with Bulls pregame live from the United Center at 7. Then it's game time in high definition at 7:30. Find out what channel Comcast Sportsnet Plus is in your area. Log on to our website, ComcastSportsnet.com, and click the link to Chicago. Elsewhere in the NBA, the Miami Heat, who own the league's worst record at 11-50, have put themselves in great position to lock up the top pick in this summer's draft. They've shut down superstar Dwayne Wade for the year. The Richards High product's been dealing with pain in his left knee all season. They're hoping extra time will allow him to return next year at 100%.
Now to baseball, and you can bet Mark DeRosa just couldn't wait to take the field, make his Cactus League debut this afternoon against Milwaukee. DeRosa went through a surgical procedure to correct an irregular heartbeat 2 weeks ago, but he returned to camp just a few days later, anxious to lock down his expected position as the Cubs' opening day second baseman. Cubs making the short trip to Maryvale to face their division rival, and DeRosa played 7 innings. He went 0 for 3, but just getting back to game action is what really matters. We'll hear from Mark in just a moment. Aramis Ramirez playing his 3rd spring training game, bottom of the 1st, shoots one down the right field line. Ryan Theriot and Kosuke Fukudome come around to score. It's 2-0 on the Ramirez double. And later in the inning, Josh Kroger with a hot shot that's off the glove of Ricky Weeks into right center field. Ramirez scores, so the Cubs have an early 3-0 lead. Things are looking good. Rich Hill getting the start instead of Carlos Zambrano. Lou Piniella didn't want the Brewers to see Big Z before opening day, and Hill had a rough go of it. Bottom of the second, that's the Brewers pitcher Dave Bush with a base hit to right. Later, Gabe Kapler lines one inside the third base bag. Weeks scores to give the Brewers the lead. It's a double for Kapler. Hill goes 2 2/3, giving up 4 earned runs on 8 hits. Cubs lose it 6-4. Mark DeRosa talked with Len and Bob during the game.
At the end of the day, I felt pretty darn good, so I can't complain. It's just nice to be one of the guys again and having fun and getting out here and mixing it up a little bit. I've dealt with this for a long time, never to the degree I dealt with it that day at Fitch Park. It's just one of those things that scared. It scared not only me, it scared my teammates, and I was hoping it wouldn't get to that point, but it did, and I'm glad the Cubs thought highly enough of me to go ahead and get the surgery done right now and get it out of the way.
And now to the injury update that will have all our male viewers all over Chicagoland wincing. Felix P.A. will miss 3 to 5 days of spring training after having a surgical procedure done to repair a twisted testicle. P.A. originally suffered the injury earlier in camp, tried to play through the pain, but doctors decided he needed to have this procedure done to avoid the risk of losing the testicle. P.A. is still the favorite to open the season as the Cubs' starting center fielder. Felix, get well fast. Coming up later in the show, we'll check in with more with Len and Bob. They'll tell us how the various health issues have affected the Cubs during spring training, plus an update on Carlos Zambrano's preparations for opening day.
How about one of Lou Piniella's old teams, the Mariners, taking on the White Sox today? Bottom one, Jim Thome with a slump buster. Couple men aboard, a 3-run blast, his first dinger of spring training. Southsiders with a 3-1 lead. Paul Konerko up next. In the words of Gordon Gekko, greed is good, greed is right, greed works. They go back-to-back. 4-1 Sox, also Konerko's first. Joe Creedy doing what Joe Creedy does best. Oh, full extension, robbing Yuniesky Betancourt. Sox pen gave up 5 runs the last 2 innings, but they hold on and win. 9-8 is your final.
And still to come on Sports Night, presented by Dex. The Blackhawks have lost 2 straight 1-goal games, but the players still surprisingly upbeat about their postseason chances. Plus, Yankee Stadium is closing down after the upcoming baseball season, but would it reopen for an NHL outdoor game? And what would that mean for the Blackhawks' hopes of possibly landing the showcase event? So many questions. And here's another. With 2 of Jim Boylan's players missing practice in the past week, has the Bulls' interim coach lost the team? Boylan answers that query, and Sports Night continues.
Sports Night on Comcast Sportsnet is brought to you by Dex. Introducing DexKnows.com. With complete local info, it's the smartest local search on the web. Visit DexKnows.com.
Kitchen Design Limited. They're the tile specialists, right, Dex?
Oh, that's Kern's Kitchens.
Oh, these cabinets got to go too, huh?
Kitchen Design Limited does custom.
Free consultations?
That's Kern's Kitchens.
Granite countertops.
Of course.
Calvert's Remodeling has those wholesale.
Wait, I'm confused. Who has the guarantee?
Maybe this'll help.
Oh.
Now let's talk bathrooms.
Introducing DexKnows.com, the smartest local search on the web. Compare businesses side by side. See hours, services, and more. Visit DexKnows.com.
Grosinger GMC guarantees you the best experience when you buy your new GMC. Our experienced staff guarantees to take up as little of your time as possible. Our selection of 500 GMCs guarantees you'll find what you want. And Grosinger always offers their lowest prices. That's why you gotta go to Grosinger GMC.
The team needs some hotel rooms? I'm on it.
We just can't afford to take everyone.
Don't touch that mouse. Oh, wait. Look, I'm here to help. I can get rooms for the whole team. all at half off. 哇，这么便宜？不是简称，叫省平。
Save up to half off on hotels at Priceline.
Now is the time. Here is the place. And this is the truck. Chevy Silverado Half-Ton. The full-size pickup available with best-in-class 4x4 fuel economy. Well-qualified buyers. Get yours with 0% APR financing for 60 months. Shop Chevy now. Log on now to ChevyDriveChicago.com. Check us out today.
Cogliano with Nielsen. Robert Nielsen now. Robert Nielsen back to Cogliano. Scores! Andrew Cogliano, overtime winner!
Well, that wasn't in the script. Over 40,000 fans made a commitment to the Indian this weekend, jam-packing the United Center to the rafters to witness Red Rising firsthand, while they saw an emotional tribute to legends Bobby Hull and Stan Mikita Friday, plus a couple of exciting one-goal games. They only observed the Hawks getting 1 point for their efforts. The players say, point taken.
You can always take the positive out of every game, and that's what we have to do right now. I thought, there was still a lot of positives from that game, but at the same time, points are critical right now, as everybody knows, and we can't afford to lose points.
We got lots of hockey left here. We're not done. We enter this week. We got a big week coming up again. Get some points out of this week, and we got to face Nashville twice, and Vancouver has to play Colorado 3 times. Minnesota has to play Colorado 3 times. There's a lot of things that could happen. Just got to get some points now every game here now for the next couple games. 4 games, 5, 6 points would be nice. Above that, anything above that, then they'll probably put us right up there again.
Savvy gave the boys a day off and made the 45-minute flight to Detroit. The Hawks embark on the first of their final Baker's dozen of the regular season tomorrow night in the Motor City. Against the Red Wings team they've beaten 4 out of 5 times this season. Coverage begins on Chicago Tribune Live at 5:30. Dan and Eddie have the call at 6:30 on Comcast Sportsnet. Now we know why Gary Bettman wouldn't answer the question directly last week on whether Chicago would get the NHL's next outdoor game. Published reports say that Yankee Stadium will likely be the next venue for the Winter Classic in 2009. They want to get it before the wrecking ball takes down the famous sports landmark. Last week, Commissioner Bettman said a game at Wrigley Field would make a lot of sense.
Back to the Bulls, you have to wonder how Jim Boylan's future with the team will be affected by all the disciplinary problems over the last couple months. Boylan asked directly today if he's lost control of the team.
What I do in the locker room, what I do with this team, I'm in control, and I run this team, and we have some guys who have kind of gotten off the page a little bit. We got to pull them back in. I think we have guys with strong character. I think we have a couple of situations where people made poor judgments, and it doesn't, I don't think, reflect entirely on the team. We have a lot of guys who, like I said, have a good work ethic and a good professional attitude. And, we've had a couple of instances in the last couple of days where some guys have gotten off that page, and we will reel them back in and get them on. If not, then there'll be other consequences.
Tough situation for Jim Boylan and the Bulls. Coming up, have the health issues affecting Mark DeRosa and Felix Piet put a question mark on their status for opening day. Len and Bob join us from Arizona with their thoughts.
Race or visit ChicagolandSpeedway.com.
He dropped it off. Hamlin took it away. Leads a 2-on-1. Break the center edge. Gave it away. Short end and breakaway. Over the Coyote line down the side. Landed with a body check. To the slot sharp. Got by a check. Fires. It's gone.
Well, you sure do have a lot of phones.
I know. We do. We have all the latest models.
Yeah, all of them. You know what I feel like? I feel like I wish fate would point me in the right direction.
Wow, that was...
I just need a sign.
Smartphones, music phones, camera phones, and more. All the coolest models are here. It's why U.S. Cellular is wireless where you matter most.
Still a week till St. Patrick's Day, but a pair of Irish basketball players already receiving some honors. Luke Herringody, a unanimous pick for first-team All-Big East. The sophomore forward averaged 21 points and 10 rebounds per game. Teammate Kyle McIlharney also named the All-Big East first team. Junior guard averaged 15 points a game. He led the conference in three-point field goals made and three-point percentage during league play.
Cubs skipper Lou Piniella played his own game today before his team took the field against the Brewers. Lou didn't want his opening day opponent, Milwaukee, to see his starter for that day, Carlos Zambrano, so he pushed Big Z back a day. While his replacement, Rich Hill, struggled, there was some positive news this afternoon as Mark DeRosa made his Cactus League debut after his irregular heartbeat issue. With the latest on these stories and more, here's Len and Bob.
Well, the Cubs lost on Monday at Maryvale Baseball Park to Milwaukee, but the big story is Mark DeRosa, second baseman, back in the lineup, had the minor procedure to correct an irregular heartbeat, and it's just good to see him back, Bob.
It really is, Len, for a lot of different reasons, what he brings to the ball club offensively and defensively, but for my money, he's the captain of the infield. I mean, Lou doesn't appoint a captain. You'd like it to be your catcher, but with Giovanni Soto being relatively young in major league years, Mark DeRosa's the guy on bunt defense plays, on pickoff plays. He's kind of in charge of the infield, and in that role, he's invaluable.
At this point, Felix P.A. appears to have won the center field job, but we're still fairly early in spring training. He's going to miss a few days with a minor injury, and now's the one chance maybe for Sam Fuld to really make an impression.
Yeah, Sam Fuld will get an opportunity to play a lot more, get more at-bats and more reps out in center field. We saw Ronnie Cedeno get some time in center field in the ball game today. I agree with you. I think Felix P.A. has done enough so far to at least be the leader on that search for the center field job. But some other guys are going to get opportunities over the next 4 or 5 days, and what they do with that opportunity remains to be seen.
Last thing, we talked with Larry Rothschild, the Cubs pitching coach, and he's very impressed at how Carlos Zambrano's come in, very focused. He's going to be ready for opening day.
Well, I tell you, Carlos normally is the center of attention, the eye of the storm. Wherever Carlos goes, there's going to be something happening. The media is going to be involved. He's been so quiet this spring, so dedicated to what he has to do. I think he's going to have a huge year.
All right, that's the story from Cubs camp. Now back to the studio in Chicago.
All right, fellas, thank you. We're exactly 3 weeks away. That's 21 days from the start of the regular season for Chicago's baseball teams. Len and Bob will be behind the mic at Clark and Addison as the Cubs start the season as they host the Brew Crew, and the White Sox opening Cleveland on March 31st right here on Comcast Sportsnet.
And while baseball's regular season is almost here, it's the final week of the high school basketball season, with the large school boys teams trying to earn a trip to Peoria this weekend. If you're looking for an underdog, how about Mount Carmel? The Caravan, of course, known for racking up state football championships, but it's a bit of a different story on the basketball court. As Chris Bowden tells us, Mount Carmel is one victory away from its first trip downstate in 23 years after knocking off 4 top 20 teams.
We know about the tradition in several sports, especially one. Not that there's never been reason to hop on Mount Carmel's Hoops Caravan, but after stunning St. Ignatius, Farragut, De La Salle, and last Friday, Whitney Young, Evanston's the next target of a basketball program suddenly feeling the school's love.
Realistically, a lot of people was in our ears telling us we couldn't do it and that we were going to be out the first round or the second round because, going up against Farragut, which is one of the #2 teams in the state, they said that we couldn't do it.
We knew we had it in us because over the season we had a lot of mistakes during the game. So Coach said, work hard. Hard work is be telling us to work hard. So we came out and worked hard, and the outcome, we've been beating teams.
This is the end of Filer's basketball career before heading to Notre Dame on a football ride. His season debut came in the Caravan's second game, a 10-point loss to Evanston.
That game was really, it had a 3-2 zone against us. We didn't practice it that much, so it was really, this game coming up, we're going to have to execute, take care of the ball, and really slow down again.
We have heard the adage about a loss being good for a team, even though they may not realize it at the time. And the last thing the Caravan thought they needed to close the regular season was a 4-overtime defeat to St. Rita, heading into the minefield known as the Proviso East Sectional.
We saw how many mistakes we made and then that 4-overtime thing, that we could have just won the game at any play, and it just made us come together, made us work harder and say, we can do this, we can come together and be a team.
The freshman Abrams' maturity has been a huge factor in their march. Then there's the experience of their second-year coach who led teams downstate during 9 seasons at Mendel and 22 at Thornridge.
Basketball's been a little inconsistent at Mount Carmel, and the other programs have been so consistently good. You knew that the foundation was there. We just had to kind of get more of a commitment. You know, I think we've been successful in that. So I don't know if it was daunting, but it was definitely a little bit of a challenge.
At Mount Carmel, Chris Bowden, Comcast Sportsnet.
Thanks, Chris. We'll be right back to wrap things up.
Max Matson Mitsubishi gives you the choice. Lease a new 08 Galant ES or new 08 Lancer ES for only $185 per month for 24 months. Or choose 0% APR financing or cashback from $1,000 to $4,500. New Lancers, Eclipse, Raiders, Galants, Endeavors, and Outlanders. Or buy with no money down and no payments for 6 months at all 3 Max Matson Mitsubishi locations.
Play. Fast forward. Rewind. Pause. Demand. Anime Network.
Looking for a great new job? Airland Transport is currently hiring drivers. If you have a Class A license, this is an outstanding opportunity to work for a locally owned company that offers competitive wages and benefits, paid holidays, and more. Airland Transport is looking for good people like you to continue providing quality transportation service. Do you want to be home daily? Tired of where you're currently working? Give Airland a call today at 800-224-2899 or visit us in East Moline.
At 10 o'clock, what does the Trib's NFL expert Dan Pompei think of the Bears' offseason moves so far? And our special story of a soldier and how his love of the game of golf is helping to make an impact with war veterans. And it's everyone's favorite bartender and movie critic and now Sun-Times cover boy, Frankie O, reviewing the new mixed martial arts film, Never Back Down. You know, Mark, Frankie O is getting to be so big time. I went into Harry Caray's the other night. I had to order a beer through his people. That's how big time Frankie O's getting.
Intermediary. You can't get to him directly. He is big.
Anymore.
Well, thank you so much for watching Sports Night presented by Dex.
Up next, an encore presentation of the Cubs and Brewers. Take the Cubs getting to
Sports Night on Comcast Sportsnet is brought to you by Dex. Introducing DexKnows.com. With complete local info, it's the smartest local search on the web. Visit DexKnows.com.
Dex, do you know of any laundromats around here?
13 within a 5-mile radius.
That take credit cards?
4. The 2 on Abbey Street will do your laundry for you. You might need both of them. I also know a good barber and a personal trainer. Ooh, and a good dating service.
Introducing DexKnows.com. With complete local info, comparisons, and maps, it's the smartest local search on the web. Visit DexKnows.com.
He dropped it off. Hamlet took it away. Leads a 2-on-1. Break the center ice. Gave it away. Across the first. A short-handed breakaway. Over the Coyote line down the side. He landed with a body check. With a slot sharp. Got by a check. Fires. It's gone. And from the wild end, it's gone.
Get the ultimate garden tool, a Tough Shed Sundance Series building exclusively at the Home Depot. Legendary Tough Shed quality and the convenience of Home Depot. Call, click, or visit, and Tough Shed handles the rest. Installing your shed where you want so you can create the backyard of your dreams. Right now, save up to $500 on any Sundance Series shed, plus 6 months, no payments, no interest with your Home Depot consumer credit card.
The Tough Shed Sundance Series, exclusively at the Home Depot.
Since 1939, members of the Concrete Contractors Association of Greater Chicago have put quality craftsmanship and expertise into every job. The CCA employs skilled union tradesmen to ensure that every project meets exacting standards. Call 630-9904-CCA to locate a qualified CCA union contractor.
The Sox sweep the Tigers. They swept Cleveland, they swept Baltimore, and now they sweep the Tigers in this 4-game set. And what a job, a 4-hit shutout.